talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday night's fans forum. We are back, and you know what? Nice little additional intro there. A little bit longer than anticipated. Steve's gone to town, hasn't he? Last week or so, making lots and lots of changes. As well as that, we've got a new banner. Fans forum. It's all changed. So they're all good. But look. Priorities. Another 3 points in the bag. Get in there. Absolutely buzzing with Friday night's result. And look, we're going to get into it all with the guests. And the guests are streaming in. These guests have just peeked in as the intro was on. But they're all ready to talk Newcastle United. But first of all, the main man, Chris Hall, alongside me. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just very thankful that we managed to pick up them 3 points on Friday night because obviously we've seen the other results. Everton picking up 3 points against Man United, and obviously Leeds getting a good result against Watford and teams like that. So it's much needed 3 points. I know most people will say we're safe, as everyone knows mathematically we're not safe. So much needed 3 points, and I just dread to think. Just imagine if we never got them 3 points, because then I think a lot of people would be a little bit more anxious. And you know what was nice, Pete, as well, which I know we'll get into, but it was nice that we didn't play particularly well against Wolves, and similarly Wolves didn't play particularly well against us, but we managed to come away from them 3 points, and I do think home advantage now is so big. And funnily enough, I was talking to my friend the other day about this, and we were talking about the remaining fixtures, and he's a Liverpool fan, and he said to me, well, you're unbeaten since the January transfer window, aren't you? And at home. And I was like, oh, I don't know, let me check. And I looked, and I was like, oh god, yeah, we are. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, the difference of us playing at home at the moment. I don't think any club likes to come to St James's Park at the moment, because it is literally like a cauldron, isn't it? And the fans are fully behind the team, and the players, you can see the players giving that little bit extra, and they know they've got the full support of all the fans. So I think, certainly for our running, we've got a good number of home games coming up, and it's nice because I think we had 4 away games on the bounce. So it's nice to finally be back at home, and to get 3 points was huge. And now, Pete, what are we talking? Maybe 2 or 3 points just to see us mathematically over that line, would you say?
Yeah, look, we're about there. We've kind of got we've kind of got 1 foot through the door, and like maybe like 3/4 of the second foot through the door. Like we are extremely close. But just from your perspective, obviously about the game against Wolves, 1-0 under the lights at St James's Park. Fantastic atmosphere it looked like and sounded like on the Sky TV cameras. What was your biggest standout? It could be anything about the game, Chris. What was your biggest standout? It could be the crowd, it could be the performance, it could be an individual, it could just be the result in itself, the manager. Anything that really kind of stood out for you about that game on Friday night?
Do you know what? There's probably a number of things, Pete, but I think the big thing for me was Chris Wood getting that scrappy goal. Do you know what I mean? That was, well, I say the scrappy goal. He obviously scored the penalty, which was great, and it made up for him. And he really, it was the way he finished the goal. Yeah, by the way, I don't actually think it was a particularly good penalty, if I'm honest. But he did the job, because when you watch the replay, he's hit it, but really, if the keeper had kind of stood still or maybe gone slightly, to his right, I believe, I don't think he would have had much trouble saving it, if I'm honest. But ultimately, main thing is he's put the ball in the back of the net, so I'm made up for Chris Wood. I think it is a massive goal for him and gives him a little bit of confidence going into the future games. So I'd say Chris Wood, and I just love Bruno Guimaraes, mate. I just love him. I just think he's just so good, isn't he? And I keep thinking about the future, and obviously looking to next season. He's gonna have 6 months under his belt, a full pre-season with Eddie Howe and the rest of the lads, and hopefully some new signings. So yeah, I'm licking my lips at the thought of seeing Bruno Guimaraes starting his first full season at Newcastle next season. Hopefully with some added quality next to him. So yeah, I think that my biggest takeaway from the game at the weekend, or the game on Friday, should I say, was Chris Wood. I was delighted for him, and you could see how much it meant to him as well, and hopefully he gets a few people off his back.
Yeah, I have to agree. Really nice to see him score that goal. I like the penalty. I thought, reminded me very much of an Alan Shearer penalty in those situations. I've watched it back a few times, and he does look like he tries to give the goalkeeper the eyes. Yeah. He does almost, as he runs up, he almost sets as if he's going to go to the keeper's left-hand side.
Yeah. That's why he went. Yeah.
Just whips his foot in the last minute into the far, I say the far corner.
It was quite central though, wasn't it, Pete? It was a bit like when I watched it back, I was like, ooh. But you're right, he gave him the eyes, the keeper went the wrong way, so.
Yeah, definitely. But and look, I'm sure now we're going to get into Bruno Guimaraes, because I think everyone is going to talk about the best Bruno in England at the moment, in English football. There's no doubt about it. Bruno Guimaraes, a stunning performance. But an added question in, and it's come to you, Chris. New banner. I hope Chris hasn't increased his diva demands. Can you confirm or deny these rumours?
Nah, I've got to deny them. I'd like to say I spat me dummy out and said to Steve, "Come on, Steve, you need to up this, mate." But I didn't. I I think they're very impressive, and full credit to Steve. But no, it wasn't after a tongue lashing off me. I've got to say I haven't increased any demands, Julie. You know me, I'm easygoing.
I can confirm that is not the case. I'm joking. But look, let's not beat around the bush. We've got already so many questions coming in, which is fantastic. And we say it every week. If you don't see it pop up when we're going through the points, it means that we've kept it as a potential question or a comment throughout the show, so it will be shared at some point. But look, we've got guests waiting that want to obviously talk about a fantastic win, and we're going to start. We've got a fantastic regular in who's going to make some great points, and welcome in Tony. How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, not too bad, lads. How are you?
Good. Look, how are you feeling right now after that game on Friday? What are your initial thoughts coming into Monday after the Friday before?
Well, I'm absolutely pleased that we got the 3 points. That's the main thing. And I didn't care how we got 3 points. I couldn't care if it went off the keeper's backside, as long as we got 3 points. That was the main thing. I predicted 2-0 Friday, so, but I don't mind. I'll take 1-0. And, it could have been 2-0 at that goal stood, but it was offside. So, But one quick thing, I know you mentioned the results, like obviously Everton and, Leeds and that. But what about Norwich doing a huge favour? I mean, they beat Burnley.
I know. Yeah.
I always knew I loved Norwich for some reason. I was always a fan of Norwich. I don't know why. But look, Tony, were you shocked by that result? Because I know I was. I certainly didn't expect that. But how were you shocked by it, or was it a result you were expecting from Norwich?
No, I thought Burnley would have gone down there and won, to be fair, after beating Everton, and knowing Everton had got that win against Man United. So I thought Burnley would go there and win by about 2 or 3 goals, but wasn't the case.
Yeah,
and it was one of them games you had to... Sorry, it was one of them games you had to watch. Hey, sorry.
I was just going to say, Burnley were really poor though, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah, they were really bad.
Corney had a chance. He missed a sitter, didn't he? How he didn't put that away.
It was a bad miss.
Good player him as well. Good player, that Corney.
He is.
Yeah,
definitely.
But yeah, back to our Friday night game. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, I thought Wolves were very poor in that first half. They were absolutely dreadful. And you could see their manager getting really animated on the side as well. And, he wasn't happy with the team. And I was just trying to work out what type of football they were playing, whether they're just to collect a point or whether they're trying to get 3 points, because I didn't know what their game plan was. But, you know, and then the second half, they sort of come out a bit and played a little bit better, but not much. But, you know, to get a clean sheet at the end of it is the most important part as well.
Yeah,
I know they had a couple of shots. Fabio Silva had one, which Dubravka pulled off a great save. You know, but other than that, they didn't really threaten us, did they, really?
I think that was the only chance, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah.
That chance that you talked about, Fabio Silva, it was a good save because, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you, both yourself and Chris think, but, you know, from the replays, it does look like it's going in. So it's a save that Dubravka has to make, really, in that situation. And you know, I'm sure Dubravka will be a little bit of a talking point as we go on in the show. But you know, from your perspective, who were the, you know, one or two of the main standout players for you from a Newcastle perspective, who really kind of made you think, wow, they had a really good game today? You know, from your perspective.
Well, obviously Bruno's man the match without a doubt. Dubravka played well because, considering he didn't have a lot to do, he still had to have his concentration level there.
Yeah.
So he was still there to, you know. I thought Dan Burn played well, solid enough. Kraft wasn't too bad either. You know. You know, he gets a lot of stick, and, you know, I've given the guy a lot of stick in the past, but I'll give him credit. He played well on Friday night. And I thought Saint-Maximin didn't have a bad game. That one ball he put across the box, if he just took the pace off it a little bit and didn't fizz it as hard, I think Wood may have got on the end of that. But, you know, and then that shot he put over the bar, you know. But yeah, and all in all, it was a great team performance. But obviously, Bruno was a standout player on that pitch all night.
Oh.
And when you see that map, I don't know if you saw the map on Sky Sports that they put up. He was everywhere on that pitch, Bruno.
Yeah.
And unlucky not to get a goal as well.
He was very, very unlucky. I think the pass from Alan Saint-Maximin, it was the only type of pass that ASM could do, but it just fell slightly behind him. I think Bruno had kind of just gone slightly too early. So it didn't kind of fall in his stride that he could control and hit it within the same motion. So we kind of had to kind of readjust his position. Still dug the shot out. Was very, very lucky. Took a deflection.
Yeah.
But he was by far the best player on the pitch by a mile. And you know, I think you yourself, Tony, and others have alluded to it, that I certainly did after the game on Friday, that, you know, Wolves are not a poor team. Wolves have had a very good season, and they could have gone 2 points off top 4 with that win on Friday night, and that just shows you the type of form and the type of performance that we've put in order to stop them. Because I think it is that, and I don't know what you guys, Chris, I want to get your thoughts on this as well. I don't know what you guys think, but, you know, there's been a lot of talk. A lot of pundits have said, "Oh, you know, Wolves were really poor. You know, not a good performance." Blah blah blah. For me, I think we made Wolves play bad, and I think sometimes we don't get the credit. Newcastle don't get the credit, and you know what? I don't think us as a fan base give Newcastle the credit sometimes of when we go and play teams like we did. You know, go back to West Ham. We only took a point there. It was a big point, but I thought we made West Ham look and play really bad that day. I think we did the same on Friday. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Chris, I'll start with you and then we'll come back to you, Tony. Chris, what are your thoughts on that? The fact that we made Wolves play bad on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I think you can't consistently talk about, you know, the way we've performed since maybe mid to late December till now, and say that, you know, we've come up against so many teams and we've just been lucky that they were having an off day. I think you've got to factor in the fact that, you know, we probably made the team have an off day, because I don't recall seeing many Wolves players who I thought, oh God, he's had a shocker there. It was just the fact that we probably nullified them. I mean, to touch slightly on Saint-Maximin, which I know, you know, Tony mentioned there. I just don't think anything was really going for him on Friday. I wouldn't say he had a bad game. I just think that, you know, he was trying certain things and they weren't coming off. I don't think it was for a lack of effort. But yeah, I mean, I do think that, you know, the performances that we're putting in are certainly nullifying, and I think that's the best word I would use to describe it. We're stopping, you know, our opponents playing and performing, and that's in no small, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You know, that's down to Eddie Howe and the way that he's setting the team up and the application that the lads are putting into it and the effort. Um, you know, I mean, Pete, you and I were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and you know, we saw the collapse. And you know, nobody would say on the back of that, oh, Newcastle were really bad, and that's why Tottenham performed. Everyone just says, oh, Tottenham are fantastic, and Newcastle were outclassed. No one mentioned the fact that, you know, we were, you know, not at it, or we didn't turn up, or we didn't show up. It was just the fact, oh no, Tottenham just outclassed Newcastle. But when we win, it's always a case of, oh yeah, the other team, they just weren't at it, or, you know, they didn't play well. You know, we're never given the credit that we're probably due and deserve. I don't think we were outstanding against Wolves. And I've seen us play better, but as Tony rightly said at the start, the main thing is we got them 3 points, and we didn't blow them away by any stretch. But I think we put a good shift in, and you know, we fully deserve the 3 points.
Anything to add on that, Tony? You know, we've obviously I've raised the question there about, and there's a number of people in the chat that seem to agree. Emmett and a number of others, Dunhill, have said the same. David Cook, sorry, said the same about, you know, it's a fact of, you know, we don't seem to get the credit when we win a game. It always seems to be that the other team have played bad. But, you know, do you agree that we kind of, you know, we were the better team and we outplayed them?
I mean, we definitely stopped them playing, without a doubt. But yeah, the pundits do. I mean, sort of, you know, they're always like, seem to be against us, and it's like they want us to fail. I mean, you know, like they had us going down and everything after the 14 games because they said nobody's ever stayed up after not winning in the first 14. Well, we've just proved you can do it. But yeah, they just don't seem to give us the credit at all. And you know, hopefully next season, once they see us start playing better, maybe they might give us more credit. But no, they certainly don't. I mean, Carragher, he was he was all right on Friday. He was actually quite pleasant for a change. And, you know, he even said the atmosphere at St. James's Park is a lot different nowadays. And even he loves Bruno Guimaraes as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, how can you not, Tony? How can you not? You know what was really interesting about that? And sorry to segue slightly, because I know Chris has kind of highlighted a point that one of the chatters is raised, and it's a good one as well. But I just want to raise this point: is that I don't think anyone can talk bad about Bruno Guimaraes. I think pundits want to. I think pundits are almost desperate to. But because he's played so well, I just think at the moment there is so much jealousy from a lot of the top clubs. And I'm going to Jamie Carragher. I'm going to the likes of Michael Richards. I'm going to all the top teams, because I'm telling you now, Bruno Guimaraes can play in any of the teams in the Premier League. He could play in any single team in this Premier League. There is no doubt about it. And I think teams are watching Bruno Guimaraes, and they would have been watching him Friday night thinking, we're fucked up here. We've messed up. Like, we have missed the trick. 40 million for a player like him. Yes, he's not played many games for us. I am aware of that. But when quality comes through, it is obvious that he is an elite top level player, and he's playing for Newcastle United. And you know what? Not just playing for us, he loves playing for Newcastle United. Yeah. And he has made that perfectly clear. And there's no better feeling in seeing tweets from Arsenal fans, Tottenham fans, Man City fans, Man United fans, you know, absolutely gutted and frustrated and angry that he's playing for Newcastle United and not their team, because he could walk into any one of those teams and regularly play football for them. It's fantastic. Don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fact that we beat Arsenal to his signature as well, because he was odds on for Arsenal, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Until we came in. Yeah. And we were in the relegation, so when he came, don't forget as well. and he got
Do you know what?
yeah.
Do you know what's interesting, Tony? And just to add in what Pete said,
Yeah.
you'll probably find as well there's certain fans saying that, Pete, and there's certain fans who are saying, "Oh, you know, we missed a trick." But then you'll get the other side of the fans who go, "Oh, he's only scored one goal. Oh, he hasn't, you know, he hasn't done that much. Look at the, I don't know why he's being hyped up so much." It's all the people who, obviously, you know, the Newcastle fans, we're renowned as Newcastle fans, you know, for being knowledgeable about football. It's all the fans who are really, really into the football, watch the football, and understand the football. And you know, we watch Bruno week in, week out. You know, people will go to the stadium, people will watch on the telly, and we can appreciate exactly what he does for the team. The pundits are exactly the same. They know the football, they understand it, and sooner or later, loads of people will start watching and thinking, "Wow, this player." I mean, I think to a certain degree he is going under the radar a bit, because you know he's not perhaps getting all the assists and all the goals, but that's not what he's about. And we knew that when he came in. We knew he is just one of those players who will keep us ticking over. And he always looks, Bruno, and this is always a good sign of a sign of a good player. He always looks like he's got 2 or 3 seconds on the ball when he picks it up. And he'll lay it off simple. And then you can see him asking for it, saying, "Give me the ball back, give me the ball back." We haven't had a player like that in so long. So many times we've had players who go into hiding, they give the ball, and then they'll turn the back. Or, you know, they'll stand next to a player knowing full well they're not going to receive the pass because they're marked. He's constantly spinning off players. He's asking for the ball. He's creating space. He's making runs. He's trying to be progressive with his passing. And sometimes if something's not on, he'll pass it and move. And that's just... Pete, I can see you smiling because you know we've got a special player on our hands, a really special player.
Chris, go on, Tony.
Yes, not only that with Bruno. I mean, if you watch him as well, when he's got the ball at his feet, if he's got a player come up, he can do a 360 spin and carry that ball away from that player. And that player stood there thinking, "Hang on, where's he gone?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
He done a pirouette in the box against Brighton when, you know, Eddie Howe was shouting for it to be cleared out.
Yeah.
Calmly pirouetted and took the ball out the box. You know what I say? But that's the confidence the guy's got.
Yeah.
Look, me and Chris had the conversation. I remember speaking to Chris. Like we were, I think 4-5-1 down at the time.
Yeah. We were just gabbing at that point
in the game. We were chatting. But the one thing that I said to Chris at the Spurs game, I said to him, even in the second half when the game was gone, Tottenham can't get the ball off him. Every time he got the ball, they were kicking him. They were pulling his shirt. They had 2 or 3 men around him. They were doing everything they possibly. They were 5-1 up, and yet they were still massively frustrated that they could not get the ball off him, and he just kept things ticking over. And you just look at him and you think, like, if he's in a team that dominates possession, he's unplayable. He is unplayable because you just can't get the ball off him. Like, and that's at the best of times for the opposition. And he just, the way he plays. The one thing I noticed about Bruno Guimaraes, having watched him before, and obviously my brother in particular, who's a French journalist, watches him even closely. And the one thing he always said to me about Bruno Guimaraes is that he doesn't get a massive amount of goals. He leaves that to Lucas Paqueta. Which I'm sure we'll get onto at some point. He leaves the goal scoring to him, but he doesn't really get many assists. But what you find with Bruno Guimaraes, he plays the pass before the assist. So he'll play the pass that allows the next player to get the assist in which the goal is scored. Yeah. And what you'll find in games is that he tends to do that. He tends to play that ball. And that's just something that's always kind of stuck with me, because in a world and in the modern day football that it's all about stats, it's all about goals, assists, how many goals you scored, how many assists. If you don't get goals and assists, you're not a good player. It all tends to be built around that in modern day football. Never used to be, certainly is now. After all of that, we can still see that he's an elite player. He doesn't get all the goals, he doesn't get all the assists, but yet we can see he's an elite player by the way in which he carries himself, the way in which he plays on the ball, the way in which he makes players better. I want to get onto Miggy in a second, but the one thing I'll say very quickly is that you saw Miggy play at a very different level at times on Friday night because of Bruno Guimaraes, and he makes players play better off the back of him. And I just thought, yeah, it was amazing to see. But Tony, we've got 3 of the guests chomping at the bit, waiting to get on. Last points from you before we.
Obviously, we've got Leicester coming up Sunday, which I'm there for, and we've got Palace. There's no reason why we can't get 6 points out the next 2 games. I mean, when we play Leicester on Sunday, don't forget they're playing against a different Newcastle to what they played in December.
Yeah,
a lot different now. So, and anyhow, had only just been in the job a few weeks anyway.
Are they in Europe on Thursday?
Yes, because they drew 0-0 with PSV in the first leg.
So they go away to PSV on Thursday then before the Sunday game.
And that could potentially be extra time penalties.
Having to go and get something as well. Having to go and get something.
Yeah, they do, So that could play in our hands as well on Sunday. But hopefully we can beat Leicester and we're unbeaten at home this year since the transfer window, since January. So, you know, apart from obviously the FA Cup blip with Cambridge United. But
we won't talk about that, Tony.
We won't talk about that. But no, if we get, if we can go for players in the summer, obviously our owners are quite good at what they can do in negotiations. If we can go back to Leon and say, right, there's 40 million quid with add-ons to raise to 50 million, we'll take Paqueta now. I'll quite happily have him because he is something different, isn't he?
Yeah.
And, you know, quickly about Miguel Almiron, I thought, yes, he did link up well on Friday with Bruno, but I don't think he'll be here after the summer. I think his race has run now. I think if we can get like someone like Paqueta coming in, then, you know, happy days.
He could be a good bargaining tool, Tony. I think we spoke about this either on a Loaded Mag or it was on one of the NUFC Master shows with me and Pete too. But I think Miggy Almiron will be an interesting one this year because he is a player who's definitely got value. He's a player who you know has still got time, you know, to kind of make something of his career, and he's probably a player who, if we approach another club and say, listen, how about Miggy Almiron plus money, it could work for both sides. So I think Miggy Almiron could potentially be used in a makeweight deal. Because
if I'm thinking, maybe I'm thinking too much elite player here, but I mean, I don't know. Who knows? What's the chance of going back to Sevilla, not asking for Carlos, but saying, can we have Jules Koundé? Right-footed centre half.
Well, I tell you what.
You know what? I mean, Chelsea wanted him, didn't they?
All right. If Bruno Guimaraes is going to piss off the top elite teams in the Premier League, who's getting him from Seville, it's going to piss them off even more so.
Well, be brilliant, won't it?
We've been after him for 3 years. If we came and stole him as our centre back in the summer, they would be absolutely screwing. There's no guarantee their clubs can be sold by then, so we could actually steal a march on them and get the deal done quite early. So you know what, Tony? It's a great shout.
No reason why not.
Yeah. Because looks like Botman's going to AC Milan, doesn't it?
So we've heard.
Yeah. The fingers are crossed. Until it's a signed and sealed deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Now how we feel about Sven Botman. And until it's a signed and sealed deal, there is still hope. But look.
And just to add, can I just add something on Sven Botman dead quickly, Tony, before you finish? And am I not right in saying that there's only one person that Mirdad Guendouzi, the husband of Amanda Staveley, isn't there only one person that he follows on Instagram, a footballer who's not a Newcastle United player, and I'm sure that's Sven Botman.
It is,
yes. Be wrong.
No, it is.
So it's like, would that really happen if there hadn't been discussions already been had? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The point I was going to say was, if we didn't get Botman, would we go for Schlotterbeck because he's a left-footed centre half and he's only 24, isn't he? Yeah, or 22, isn't he? Something like that, anyway.
Is a great option. I think Borussia Dortmund are looking at him, and I think he's keen on staying in Germany. I think Dortmund are looking to invest some of the potential Haaland money that they'll get in the summer on signing Sosa back. So I think I don't know about that one. That one might be a little bit more trickier because
Yeah.
it's so hard to get German player or German-based players out of their leagues because the top teams in Germany tend to want to keep them in Germany. It is really, really difficult to get those players, but he's an outstanding talent. He would be more than a suitable alternative to Sven Botman. There's no doubt about that. But look, this is the beauty of Newcastle United's new era in the transfer windows, because look, me and Chris are going to be talking about this. We've got a whole summer planned on transfer talks, and these are the kind of conversations we're going to have. There is no doubt about that. But look, for now, Tony, we have to park it there.
No problem.
As I said, I knew you were going to before you came on. Great points, great discussion as always. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to come on. And fingers crossed. Well, first and foremost, enjoy the game on Sunday. I'll be there as well. So enjoy the game.
I'll be beforehand. So
yeah, hopefully I'll be able to meet you in there for a pint. Yeah. And fingers crossed, we're talking on here next Monday with another 3 points in the bag.
Yeah, hope so, because I travel back on Monday on the train.
Brilliant stuff.
But I love going home. That's the main thing. I still call it home. I don't live there, but I still call it home.
Of course,
because it always will be.
And yeah, you're quite rightly. Yeah. You should as well. But until then, you take care, Tony. Speak to you soon.
You too. See you later, lads.
Take care, Tony.
Bye.
See you later, mate.
Good man, Tony. Great talking points. And he's touched on a couple of points that I was going to come to you with, actually. I was going to come to you with a couple of those points. But I'll wait until later on. Because we've got another guest who's been patiently waiting. We've got a few in the back, but I'm going to bring him in now. A regular. I'm really interested to hear what he's got to say on our fantastic win. And it's Alan. How you doing, Alan?
Great, lads. Great. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Chris Pete, this week, it's been a roller coaster for me. Wednesday, Burnley beat Everton, and I was thinking, I've got a little bit nervous. Friday, we won. I'm on a high. And then on Saturday, with Everton beating Man United, I was back to being a little bit nervous again, because I was thinking Burnley would beat Norwich. And so our win would be like cancelled out. It would be down to 7 points. So all in all, it's been one of them up, down, up, down. And I think it'll be a rare thing, Chris. It'll be a happy household back home with your partner being an Evertonian fan. So everybody in the household will be really happy there, to be honest.
Yeah, you were buzzing, Alan. Absolutely buzzing. Yeah, they were really happy. I was trying to ground them all. I was saying, listen, it's only one win. But it certainly helps, and it helps cancel out that Burnley loss, because obviously, they were pretty down in the dumps over that. But yeah, I mean, they've given themselves an opportunity, and then obviously Burnley losing to Norwich certainly makes things a lot easier as well. But it's still quite a few games to go, and if Burnley somehow pick it up, then they're back to square one again. Then.
Well, to be honest with you, Chris, after seeing Burnley on Sunday, I feel as though we're safe now, because I just cannot see them winning 4 games out of 8 when they've only won 4 all season. That's what it means, really. It means something it's just absolutely unbelievable if they get out of the mess they're in to catch up to us anyway. That's what it means, really. So I was delighted, absolutely delighted. Pete, in the green room, you mentioned something about what would you take on Friday night. And I know it's slightly off the point, but War Flags was absolutely tremendous. And if I was a 10-year-old, 12-year-old Chris Pete going in, and there was a lot of youngsters where I was, it must be amazing. If I was a youngster now going, I'd want to go again and again. So the future's looking brilliant. And Bruno took a young lad, I don't know if you saw it, Pete, Chris, took a young lad out the crowd when Chris Wood scored to celebrate. That'll live with that young lad forever. Yeah. So that's a great moment as well. So it shows you, and the point being is, if you get the right character, and we've all raved so far, Tony made some great points. We've all raved about signings, but you've got to have the right attitude.
Yeah,
Pete, Chris, my heart sank when somebody mentioned about we're being linked with Pogba. I wouldn't buy him for all the money in China. We're being linked with Gerald Bowen. I know who I would want. No way, I wouldn't touch that. I'm not being funny, Chris. I put on my podcast, and I swear to God, I put on the Everton podcast, you'll beat Man United, because that was before the game. They are the worst Man United team I've seen in the Premier League era in 30 years. Their attitude stinks.
Yeah, it does.
And they didn't believe us. They said, well, one person turned around, well, it's the worst Everton team they've ever had in their history. But I honestly, and when I saw Pogba, honestly, on the pitch, strolling around, I don't want big names that stroll around, Chris. I want people that want to try, and that's why I love Conor Gallagher from Crystal Palace, and I do like Jared Bournemouth on West Ham. So any one of them, if they came in the summer, I'll be absolutely over the moon. And a little sideshow about, like the player that you mentioned, Peter Equetta. The thing is, again, it's on the sideshow about the takeover is the bigger clubs, the big six, realised that Newcastle can now, if they go in and say, Man United, Liverpool, whoever, will offer you £100,000 a week. We can come in and go, we'll offer you £120,000 a week. And the owners of these clubs didn't want that to happen. They didn't want, because they know now we can blow anybody out the water with wages. And then it's up to the player if he wants to come or not. So, not every top player want to come to Newcastle, not every top player want to come to Liverpool or Man United, but at least it gives you a chance to compete with them going forward. So, honestly, you've got to have players with the right attitude. And I hope that, now, I think we're safe. I hope they're now dealing with the future. And these 7 games are very important, lads. I really do. For the attitude of the players, I hope they don't switch off and think on the beach. Mind, I did say it, Chris Pete, last week, if Everton and Burnley still need points, I would like the hold the brochures in the back pocket of our players in the dressing room, like. But by and by, I do want to play well to the rest of the season, and we're going to have a massive say. I've just got that feeling, Chris Pete, we're going to have a massive say in the title, mind. I just think we're going to do something against one of them. Yeah. I really do. I really do.
I think that Liverpool game's going to be key, Alan. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Liverpool won't fancy coming to St James's Park. They really won't. I don't think anybody will. And they're going to have to turn up, and they're going to have to really grind and really put on a performance. We all know what happened in the reverse fixture at Anfield. I was there, and the Mike Dean show, as we often refer to it as. But Eddie Howe will have them. You'll have the lads in the dressing room, and he'll be saying, "Come on, let's we can get something against these." They'll want it, and their nerves will be heightened as well, because this isn't the same Newcastle team that they're playing. We've got hopefully by that point we've got nothing to lose. We'll just go out there, and we obviously want to finish as high in the table as we possibly can to attract players in the summer. If we go and beat the likes of Liverpool at St James's Park and people are watching, you say, well, look, we've beat Liverpool with this team. Imagine next season with you or you or you or you, and we're going to attract bigger players. And like you say, Alan, with the wages, you look at the projects that we've got next season. I mean, Man United, you're looking at teams like Liverpool and City, and if they say they go for a player, they're going to be saying, oh, you'll be part of a squad. Or you can join Newcastle, where you're part of a new exciting project, and we go, you're the main man, you're going to be in the 11. Liverpool and City can't promise that. Yeah.
Oh, spot on, Chris. Spot on. I mean, it's like it's that point that you made there is valid. I mean, I don't know if you watched the Man City Liverpool game. They are 2 class teams. They made mistakes, but it showed you the level that them 2 are at, and the rest of we've got to follow. The standards they've got. I mean, they could easily win all their 7 games left, both of them.
Oh yeah, both of them. Yeah.
To be fair to them, they're that good. But getting off at that point, lads, Elliot Anderson's North tearing it up. He scored again. Do you think he'll have a future at Newcastle going forward? If we're going for players like Bruno Guimaraes in the future, it's one of them quandaries. I'm wondering if he will make it at Newcastle, even though he's tearing it up in the lower leagues. I hope he does, and then he goes forward and builds on it. I don't know what you think, and if going forward in the future, whether he will or not. And Matty Longstaff's doing the same at Mansfield. So there's two young lads really doing well at the fair play at a lower level, but they are tearing it up there. So that's it. Them two lads are ones to look out for to see if they can make the grade.
I think we'll see, and I don't know, Pete, I don't know what you think about this, but I think we'll see the likes of Elliot Anderson, Matty Longstaff. I think going forwards, we're going to see a lot more organisation in terms of when we're loaning players out. Like next season, I would like to see both of those lads get a chance at a championship side. And then we'll really see whether or not they can cut it. I mean, if they start performing like they are now in the championship side, that's when we'll probably sit up and go, okay. And then who knows? They might end up, in 2 or 3 years' time, if we're at the top ends of the Premier League, which is where we want to be, we may, loan them out to a newly promoted side. Like Billy Gilmore, who's got time at Norwich. Conor Gallagher's had time at Palace. Yeah. Teams like that. And then obviously if they perform really well, like next season, you would think, wouldn't you, that Chelsea would bring Conor Gallagher back, and really they should throw him straight into the squad for next season. Or like you say, Alan, they've got a plethora of fantastic players already, Chelsea. If they can't offer them first team football, they'll have to let them go. But wouldn't it be great if we could have like an Elliot Anderson in the middle of the park for us going forward? It'd be great. What are your thoughts on that, Pete?
I think Anderson is 100% got a future at Newcastle United. I have. I envision him being in the first team next season? No, I don't. I think he'll get part of a pre-season with us. I think if we go on a pre-season tour away somewhere, I think he'll be part of that squad, because I think any good manager, and certainly Eddie Howe will want to do this, is firstly have a look at him. A little bit like what Mikel Arteta did with Joe Willock. He took him away. He had a look at him after he had a really good run with us on loan for his last season, and then made the decision, right, okay, yeah, we're going to sell you on, we need the money, blah, blah, blah. I think what we will do is have a look at him and think, right, is he ready for us right now? I don't think he's quite ready for Premier League football right now. However, I think what you'll find is that he'll probably go and play championship football next season. He'll probably jump a couple of levels, I think, because he's ready for it. And I think I'd be surprised if championship teams are not already looking at him. I think it was rumoured that he was going to go to Luton on loan at some point in this January transfer window. He ended up obviously going to Bristol Rovers. If he'd have gone to Luton and played the way he has now, Luton have been fighting at the top end of the table. They've had a great season. He could have been, really showcasing his abilities, which maybe would have kicked him on another level. But I do think, and actually what was really interesting, I don't know who mentioned it, but there was a conversation that potentially, it could be, because I know we've got a real interest in Brendan Johnson from Forest, the right winger, and it could be a case of, if we did put a bid in to take him away from Forest, because he's going to leave Forest if they don't get promoted this season. Like he's too good for the Championship. He's a fantastic young talent, and could that be a make way in that deal? Is that we give them Elliot Anderson on loan for a season or two? As part of that deal. I thought that was. I can't remember where I saw that, and I thought, that's a really interesting concept there. That could potentially work. I'm interested in that. Matty Longstaff has also played well at Mansfield. He's doing very, very well. I actually think, and it sounds really weird me saying that, I actually think Elliot Anderson is probably slightly further ahead in terms of getting an opportunity and a long-term stint in the first team than Matty Longstaff. I think Matty Longstaff's next loan spell will be key where he goes. I think he also should be looking at least League One, certainly Championship for his next step. The problem being is because he's now, as a centre midfielder, going up against a rejuvenated John Joe Shelby, a kind of repositioned Joe Linton, an outstanding Bruno Guimaraes. You've got Joe Willock that's biting, chomping and biting for a chance in the team. You've got Sean Longstaff, his brother, that's possibly and most likely to sign a new contract. I just think for him as a centre midfielder, he's a little bit down the pecking order in order to break into that team. And the fact that we're looking at adding another top class midfielder to that list, he's going to be behind an Isaac Hayden. And Isaac Hayden's got no chance of getting into this first team.
No.
So that's what makes me think that Matty Longstaff is slightly behind, or quite a bit behind, actually, if I'm being honest. Elliot Anderson, who can play further up the pitch. You could probably play him just off the left, just off the right, and in a formation potentially just behind the striker. So, yeah, I just think that's kind of where it stands. But it's great to have a talent like Elliot Anderson playing very, very well on loan. And it's nice to have a loan stint that's actually going well for a change.
Yeah.
It is, because we've failed a lot of players on loans in previous years, and Shola Amiobi has a lot of questions to answer with regards to that. Because he's failed a lot of players, Freddie Woodman being one of them. Freddie Woodman will leave us in the summer, there's no doubt about it. And he'll leave us having failed in his stint at Newcastle United, because he should be, at this point, in my opinion, a regular Premier League goalkeeper. And we haven't given him the loans, and we haven't managed him well enough for him to be successful the way in which we want him to be. So that disappoints me, but Elliot Anderson certainly excites me as a player.
I mean, one thing, lads, I don't think some people realise how great a job Eddie Howe's done. On the 1st of December, we were bottom of the league, played 14, drew 7, lost 7, 6 points from safety, and to now be virtually assured is just incredible. I sometimes look at the table and realise myself how great a job he's done. And you hit a great point as well, Chris Pease, about other teams. I heard the same of Aston Villa when we beat them 1-0. We played rubbish.
Yeah.
Other teams, we've stifled them, lads. We've actually stopped them from playing. If you can imagine, a late winner, Everton scored a late winner, Chelsea scored a late winner against us. Yes, we're sick, but if them had been 0-0 draws, our defence has been absolutely superb since January. Absolutely superb. Apart from the Tottenham game, and even then till half time, it was going to script. And then we fell into the trap, like I said last week, we fell into Tottenham's trap to their counter-attacking team, and they demolished in the second half. But apart from that, lads, it's been absolutely fantastic turnaround. And I went on the Wolves podcast, and they were all saying that's the poorest game they've played all season. And I'm thinking, but we didn't allow you to play either. And I think that's where the credit's due to Eddie Howe and his backroom staff. They've really done their homework on the teams we're playing, and long may it continue. I think that's a great point that you hit, Pete, about other teams. Like we don't give our own team enough credit at times.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely a great point. Well, I'll let you go, lads, because I haven't put 50 pence in the meter for the electric, so I'll get to it on short. I'm soon you get dark and dark on the background, lads, and I want to shoot away, but I'm getting like Kieran used to be like a year ago. I've never seen Kieran for a while on the podcast. I'm getting like Kieran every day, but Target done well again on Friday. The whole team played solidly, lads, and when it was half time, I thought there's going to be one goal in it either way. If it went to Wolves, we would have been distraught. It went our way this time, and against Everton and Chelsea, it went against it, so we were really, really, sickened by it. But no, things are looking up, lads, and long may it continue. 3 points on Sunday. And I'll let you go because other people on the podcast want to get on. Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Top man.
Pleasure as always, Alan.
Definitely.
Cheers. I'm putting 50 pence in the electric meter now.
Take care, Alan. Top man.
Take care, Alan. See you later, mate.
Brilliant. Love Alan.
He's literally got to go and put something in the lackey. Oh,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
that was like Tom.
Yeah, we can see the green room. The light flashes on. Love it. Great from Alan. But you know what? He raised a couple of really, really good points. And one of them was about kind of the other teams. He touched on the fact that obviously the reason why teams didn't want the takeover is because they knew if they came in with a player, for example, and it would be like, right, we want this player, we're going to offer them 120,000 a week, or I think Alan said 100,000 a week, that we'd go, right, okay, we can offer you 120. And I 100% agree with that point. I really, really do. I think there's a little bit more to that. I think that not only can we offer, they want 100 grand a week, we offer 120. It's not just about money, which is what the media portray, in that, they're just going for the money. The key word is project. In world football right now, players want to know they are part of something that's going to grow and build into something. You look at what PSG did over a 10-year period when they got Pastore, Javier Pastore is one of their first signings, Julian Draxler, Edison Cavani, Ibrahimovic, Marquinhos, all these players, Thiago Silva, that they built over a period of time. And every single one of those players said, we're coming because of the project. We know what they want to build. We know what they want to, where they want to go. They haven't quite got there. The aim was the Champions League. Haven't quite got there. But for us, our building is very different, because whereas they can potentially walk a domestic league, we can't. So we have to plan to build a project that can not only get into Europe, Europa Conference, Europa League, Champions League, win the league potentially, and then look for the Champions League after that. We've got a bigger building project there to be a part of. And there is, for any player, anybody has the conversation with Vincent Kompany. If he has an interview now with Sky and he said, why did you choose Man City? You could have gone to anywhere else. Man United were interested, Arsenal, or other teams that were potentially ahead of them at that particular point in time. Why did you go to Man City? And I can guarantee you that he'd talk about the project and what they wanted to build and being a part of something. Bruno Guimaraes, in the way in which he talks, the way in which he comes across, talks exactly the same way. So it's not just about the money. The media may portray it like that. So many, poorly educated pundits on Newcastle United say the same. They've just gone for the money, It's the project. It's actually building something. And the fact that Trippier's talked about the project in such a positive light, and he's so excited about what the potentials are with our project. The fact that a player that's not even signed for Newcastle at this moment in time, and Sven Botman, felt the need to put a statement out on the back end of the transfer window to talk about, the fact that he was keen to come to Newcastle, and he again talked about the project, tells everyone in world football that there's a project there and there's something exciting in Newcastle. And I really think that is one of the things that eats them up. Not just that we can financially match them and overpower them in most cases, it's the fact that we have something worth building. Manchester United, that Alan quite rightly touched on, are completely in the mud right now. That was a disgraceful performance from Manchester United. You look at the individual talent of players that they've got in that team and the way they performed. You could tell within 10 minutes they were going to lose the game. They were never, ever going to win that game because none of their players were playing well enough, were good enough in that game. They were absolutely dreadful for 90 minutes. Who's going to really, yes, they're going to a club with stature, but who's going to really go to Man United in the summer knowing that their team are playing like that? Like, that was embarrassing. It was so bad. I just think from our point of view, we've got a lot of good selling points. And I know Ian McKenna's just put in there, Botman agreed terms with an Italian team. AC Milan supposedly is that team because of their links with AC Milan and Lille. It's not guaranteed yet.
I think he's agreed terms with us as well. I think he's probably agreed to. I think it's probably all agreed. If we agree a fee with Lille, then you will sign this for this much. I think it was all agreed in January, but I just don't think we could get the deal done with the club. I think, like you say, that with that statement that he issued, if you read the statement back, he talks about Newcastle and then says, and the AC Milan project's really interesting as well. So he doesn't shut the door on AC Milan, but his first words are talking about Newcastle. And I think if we want him, we get him. Yeah. I think it's as simple as that.
Sven Botman is a smart young man, and he knows that AC Milan. He knows that his club currently, Lille, wants him to go to AC Milan because of the relationship that they have with their owners. If anyone doesn't know why they've got good ownership, a good relationship with each other, is that they were bailed out for a huge debt within their club by AC Milan a while back, and because of that, they feel indebted to AC Milan, and their owners have got a really good relationship on the back of that. So that's why Lille want Sven Botman to go to AC Milan, not because it's a financially better package. It won't be. It'll be nowhere near the money that we offered in January, and it won't be anywhere near the money that we're going to offer in the summer. Lille are in a better position to offer or accept the offer that we give them, but they've got a friendship, they've got an agreement, they've got a kind of an understanding there, and that's key in any deal. And that's why a lot of people are saying, you know, there are the dark arts playing within the football world at the moment, because it's not about how much money you offer. It's not about what the player wants. It's about what the ownership wants. If Sven Botman was given an option, I think he'd want to come to a project. Yes, AC Milan are playing Champions League football, but I think Sven Botman was really keen to be part of something bigger. AC Milan may well play Champions League football next season, but AC Milan also have the opportunity to fall 5th, 6th or 7th in Serie A next season as well and drift away from European football. They have that up and down mentality, whereas we're going one way and we're pushing in a different direction. So I think it's all to play for still. Until it's guaranteed, you know, we have to assume that is still in play at this moment in time. But yeah, there's a couple of other points that I want to raise, but I want to get this done now before we get our next two guests on. So you know, at this point, it's a case of taking a very much a deep breath. Let's prepare ourselves and make sure that we're ready because we are getting to the sponsors. So a little bit new from here. So Spider Minor, obviously a sponsor that have been a massive support, but obviously under a different name. For your internet security, they are the ones to trust. If you want your internet being protected on your computer online, Spider Minor are the ones to go to. So again, a new fancy little bit of promotion there. Very, very good to see. Skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 2545 253. Emails and inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. We have LNG Family Funeral Directors. Please contact them if you need 0191 389 7245. We also have Garden of Healing Dispensaries, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialist, www.thegohd.com. We also have the very well-known Arcot Interiors. So Arcot Interiors, big shout out to Chris and the lads. Google Arcot Interiors for top-class kitchens. He's already in the chat tonight. We've already seen him once or twice. John Justice Allen. We're here to promote qtech.co.uk for your pool tables and snooker tables in Walls and Newcastle. They are the ones to go to. We have our new sponsor. We have Clickeye. So if you're interested in the new game, thanks to Clickeye, you can find Clickeye at clickeyrun.game, Google Play or App Store. Meet the new game over screen. Drop into a Run device near you. We also have Jab Signature. Massive support from Jab Signature. Thank you for your support. Fantastic clothing line. Get yourselves involved in that. Still available online. Thanks to Media Arts for all your media support in all things NUFC matters. We also have Newcastle Legends. Like, comment, and share each of the shows so other people can see what NUFC Matters is all about. And also click that subscribe button, just that red button, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, and join the cult, as we always say. And if you haven't been able to watch live, click the iTunes and Spotify, normally available 24 hours or so, just after the show has been on live, and you can join and listen to all of the different shows that are on throughout the week. We also have a scan to buy, NUFC Matters membership pack. So on your phone, you can scan the barcode and you can use the enter into a prize draw, which is on a monthly draw. There's been another draw recently. I'm sure there'll be many more upcoming in the weeks to come. And this is what you can win. From become a cult member, NUFC Matters member. Lots and lots of fantastic gifts and part of the membership pack. I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Chris. Subscribe to the show and receive a free Carl Winner sticker. So another little fancy little addition there that you can get. If you haven't already, on match days, come and join the Dog and Parrot. Music, drinks, and pool at Newcastle upon Tyne. Myself and Chris have been before. Great to meet with some of the NUFC Matters fans. And it's great to have Super Matt as part of that initial match build-up for his talking, get to ask him questions, get to meet him, and be a part of the atmosphere as it builds. If you're not able to give to the Newcastle Fans Food Bank on the day, we have the match day bucket. So go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you can as well give a little something as part of the match day bucket if you're not able to go and show your support to the fantastic volunteers who give their time every match day to support the Newcastle Fans Food Bank. Okay, so this was a fantastic event that was on the 9th of April. Really, really successful. I know Steve's talked about it as well. Obviously, you can't buy tickets because it's already happened, but great to see that it was a fantastic event shared by all. And as well, 1st of May, St James's Park, 2 o'clock kickoff, Newcastle United's women's against Barnsley women. Make sure that we go and show our support for the Newcastle United women's team. And of course, I haven't got the flyer tonight, but me and the main man over there, Loaded HQ, lots to come this week and in the weeks to come. Lots of new guests. So please give Loaded HQ a subscribe. Go and watch some of the previous videos we had this week. A fantastic away days. I know it was a build up to the Wolves game, but some of the tactics and some of the points from Dave from the Wolves podcast, Talking Wolves, great talk. We had our first birthday. We've got the birthday bash. We've got the show with Pete Graves from Sky Sports. Fantastic shows. If you haven't checked it out, check out Loaded HQ. Just click the subscribe button and come and join the Loaded family where we talk all things NUFC. And that is that. Right. Let's get down to it. We've got a few more guests ready to come on. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about 1 or 2 question points. Chris,
yeah, we've got loads of questions, Pete. Loads and loads. And do you know what, by the way, just to add, lots of love, Pete, for, you reading out the adverts. I think you did it in just under 8 minutes there, mate. So fair play. Emmett put a comment on before, it was making me laugh. It was like, Pete, are you ready for the ads? That was about 10 minutes into the show. It's funny. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was last week. Keith Rowe said I think I did it in eight minutes and sort of 15 seconds. So if it was under 8 minutes, I'll take that. Getting quicker and quicker. Just goes to show how quickly I remember things and run through things with regards to the ads. But look, we're at the point now where we're gonna welcome on a welcome back guest. Hasn't been around for a couple of weeks, but great to see him back on and to talk all things Newcastle United. It's Jimmy Moore. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm great. I mean, I'm really glad to see you made it. You know, you're getting better at the adverts. Because,
sure, that couldn't get any worse, Jimmy.
Jesus Christ. I mean, Ben Jacobs could get through that quicker than you could. I mean, damn.
Oh, God. I try my best.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make this brief because my wife is going to kick my ass because she's waiting at my Cohiba cigar and my tequila for my birthday today. So,
happy birthday, mate.
Me and Amanda, it's our birthdays today. Amanda's Davey. So, but yeah, Wolves. I tweeted that we were going to win because Wolves are basically like us with a defense. Because coming into that game, we'd both only scored 33 goals on the season. But their defense is much better than our, at the time, minus 21 goal differential. So if we would have had any sort of defense at the first of the year, who knows where we could be. I mean, they're challenging for Europe, and we're fighting relegation. So that's how quickly one or two players can turn this whole thing around. And it's the first game where I actually saw Chris Wood not be a target player. He was running. He was making himself available. He was hitting the channels. I didn't think he had that kind of wheels on him. So I can't bash Wood, and Bruno's Bruno. But my man of the match is, going to be Miggy. I love him. And I'm not 100% sure now that we'll sell him off, because I think Eddie, for one, likes him, and Bruno's going to be the face of this team. Who works well with Bruno and basically who he likes is going to go a long way. And if I can keep seeing that performance out of Miggy, you have to have a squad. You have to have some quality coming off the bench. Why not keep him around another year? If he can keep producing, Spain or back to the MLS is always going to be an option for him. But if we do get rid of him, I don't think it will be until the end of the transfer window, depending on who we can get in.
Yeah.
If we don't get in who we want, I fully expect to see him around for another year. But it was a great game. It's just, Wolves, to me, don't scare me. And the run of home fixtures we have coming up, hell, 6 points. We're done. close the book on the season.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anybody in that bottom three getting enough points, and Everton can't win away from home. So that's it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I said to get back on because I've been enjoying this weather a little too much, and
Looks lovely where you are, Jimmy.
I was going to say, you enjoyed it so much you wanted to share it with us, and I think the last time you came on, it was like blue skies everywhere, beaming hot.
Yeah.
You'd spoiled us too much that you thought, right, I'll have a couple of weeks off.
It's a little overcast right now, but it's still 75.
Yeah.
Just the casual 75.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
So we're on my other breaking news is we're in the process of me and my wife and getting the nurses together that it looks like I may be hopping back on a plane to Newcastle in September.
Oh,
Yeah.
love it.
Brilliant.
And all my Twitter fans, I expect to see you out, and you can buy me a pint.
Jimmy, you'll have to let us know, Jimmy, when you plan on coming up, and we'll see if we can get to Newcastle for that, because it'd be lovely to meet you in person. And I'm sure Pete will agree. If we can get ourselves to Newcastle, it'd be fantastic to meet you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. So, but you guys, nice to be back on, and time for a little Patron, and you all enjoy.
Yeah, mate. You enjoy your birthday as well.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you to everyone who sent me birthday wishes. The Geordie Nation up there. God bless you.
Brilliant stuff. Jimmy, it's a pleasure to have you on. Enjoy your birthday. Fully deserved. And you know what? That's made my day. Fantastic to hear that you could potentially be coming over to Newcastle. You'll have to keep in touch with us. Let us know when it could potentially be, what potential game it could be, because like Chris has just said, it'd be amazing to be able to meet up with you and before the game and after. It'd be great to kind of spend a bit of time with you face to face. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Well, I hope so, because I'm damn sure not going to Liverpool.
No, I'll make sure I come to Newcastle and see you, Jimmy.
Okay. All right.
Jimmy, you take care. We'll speak to you soon.
All right. Have a good day.
Love to see you, mate. Take care.
Happy birthday, mate. See you later.
Happy birthday.
Brilliant. Love it. Always love to put the boot in where he can.
Yeah, Gary's so right there, doesn't he? He always puts a smile on everyone's face.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great to see. But you know what? With Jimmy, he made two fantastic points, and I'm so glad. And I thought Jimmy would say this tonight. When I saw him in the green room, I thought he was going to mention this, and it was about Miggy Almiron. Obviously, with his American connections being in the MLS, Jimmy kept an eye on him before he obviously came to Newcastle. And I had that same feeling myself, and I don't know about you, Chris, but the way in which Miggy played, and I alluded to it earlier on in the show, that I felt that Miggy played in a way in which we haven't seen him play before. The way in which he connected, the way in which he, had that understanding with Bruno Guimaraes, was on a level that I haven't seen him play before. And actually, even in the build-up to Friday's game, the way in which Eddie Howe has spoken about Miggy Almiron, he's spoken about him in such a positive light that it makes me think, is he really a player that we're going to let go of? Which then brings me to this question, not just to you, Chris, but primarily to you, Chris, but to everyone in the chat, is that, if there is going to be a winger that leaves the club, is it going to be Miggy Almiron, or could it well be Jacob Murphy? And is this what he's been doing in recent weeks, because if you think about it, in recent weeks, he's given Jacob Murphy a run of games as if to say, show me what you've got, show me what you're about, and give him a few games to have a proper look at. And now it seems like, with Jacob Murphy also on the bench and ready to play, he's gone with Miggy Almiron as if to say to Miggy, show me what you've got and show me what you're about. And personally, I thought Miggy played well. I thought he had a good game. I thought, he really stretched defences. I thought he linked up the play well. I thought, he had 1 or 2 half chances. And it could well be that he's maybe weighing up as if to say, right, I'm not going to keep both of you. I might keep one of you. Who is it going to be? And he sells one. And with that replacement, he brings in an elite replacement on the wing as that person's replacement who leaves the club. Am I wrong to think that, or have you got a different kind of idea of where it might be going?
No, I think you're right, Pete. I mean, there's only so many spaces in the squad for next season. I think we know that, and you'll know over the last couple of years, Pete. You know that I've always kind of defended Miggy Almiron. Of late, I've kind of become a bit frustrated with him because I do want to see more from him. But you're quite right. That performance at the weekend, he kind of showed the promise that we originally saw when he first came in under Rafa. And I say under Rafa, he came in under. Oh, did he come in under Rafa? Didn't he?
Miggy,
or was it just shortly? Yeah, it was. That was Rafa's last signing, wasn't it? Yeah. And I've always liked Miggy, and the reason I like him so much is because of the effort and the endeavour and the fact that he always puts a shift in. And I tell you what, Pete, I got confused during the game, but I actually thought it was Bruno Guimaraes who did that little, the pullback and the flick, if you like. I'm trying to think of what it's actually called, but when he drags it back and flicks it round.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, Bruno, that was amazing. And then when I saw the replay and saw it was Miggy, I thought, great, this is exactly what we've missed from him. This is what we haven't seen from him. That confidence. Because we know there's something there with Miggy. There's definitely something there. I think it's just about putting him in the right position. I don't think he's a winger. I think somebody mentioned that. Yeah, Leon said, I don't think Miggy's a winger. He's a number 10. And I agree. I think you need Miggy in the middle. But the way that we set up doesn't really appeal to him because I don't see him in the middle of the park, in the way that we play. He probably is a number 10. That's probably his best position. But when you're a number 10, we were talking earlier, about Lucas Paqueta. You need goals, you need assists, you need someone who's going to constantly, be a goal threat. And unfortunately, Miggy's not shown that. Could he show it? Who knows? It would be great. And I do want to see Miggy do well. And if you were forcing me, Pete, and you said, would you rather get rid of Jacob Murphy or Miggy? I'd get rid of Murphy every time. Because I'm not sure, as much as he's a Geordie lad and I want him to do well, and I'm got no doubt that he puts the effort in. I think out of the two of them, I think Miggy's got more potential, and I could see Miggy pushing on and doing that bit more. And hey, as a substitute, having the likes of Miggy Almiron coming on, some of his pressing, Pete's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. He just doesn't stop, does he? And I think that's why I've always made excuses for him in the past, because a player who you see working his absolute socks off and trying his best, it's hard to criticise. And if he can just sort out his end product or just learn to put his head up and just do a simple pass sometimes, I think sometimes he tries to do too much. And you think, you've got that work rate, you've got that endeavour. A bit like what Joe's been doing, Big Joe Linton in the middle of the park. Pick up the ball, get it back, give it to somebody else. Maybe that's what we need to see more from Miggy. Maybe he's, trying to do too much. I don't know. But yeah, I completely agree. And it was lovely to see him play so well in his cameo.
Yeah. I would love Miggy to be more selfish.
Yeah.
He gets himself into some good positions, and rather than either run at a defender and really commit the defender going the other way, or drive at them and have a shot at goal, or instead of kind of bending the ball into the far corner, he'll try a simple pass or keep possession and play it backwards rather than look forwards. Just add a little bit of an edge to him. Sometimes he can be quite predictable, but like you said, Chris, you're absolutely right. His pressing is at times it can be unmatched in this team. Yeah. The way in which he runs at speed to press players. Their fullbacks, their left back. I can't remember who it was, but their left back on Friday didn't get any time on the ball
No.
whatsoever. Because every time they picked up, whether it was a centre back or one of the back three that played on the left hand side, I think it was Kilman who played on the left side back of the back three, or their left wing back. Like, he just didn't give them an inch. He was there. They had literally 3 seconds max on the ball before they needed to release it. Otherwise, Miggy was on their tail. And that's what you want from attacking players. You want them to commit players to ensure that they're having to play a lot quicker. And when teams play a lot quicker under pressure, they tend to make more mistakes, which helps the rest of our team moving forward. So, yeah, really, really interesting point that. And definitely want to keep an eye on with Miggy in the next few weeks. With Ryan Fraser having a hamstring injury, there were a few questions about Ryan Fraser. What's the situation? It was a hamstring injury. You could tell straight the way he pulled up if you were watching it on TV. I would say it'd be a minimum of 2 weeks. I'll say the earliest we'll see him back is probably the Norwich game, if he's fit to come back at the Norwich game. But for me, I think it might be after that. For the next couple of games after that, he'll probably be available, which gives Miggy 3 games now potentially to play and to show his worth. So it's a great opportunity for Miggy, like Dan Burns had earlier on in the season, like Matty Targett's had, like Emil Kraft's had. Who also should get some fantastic praise. You know, he's another one that we can talk about in a bit, Emil Kraft. But mindful, we've got a couple of guests that we need to get on, and we'll bring in the very famous Sky Sports guest who was in the backgrounds on Friday, if I'm right in thinking. Maybe he'll confirm that for us when he comes on. But I noticed it straight away, and I think a few in the chat have mentioned it as well. But we'll bring him in. Welcome in, Darren. How are you?
Hello, Peter. Hello, Chris. Yeah, I was in the background of Sky Sports on Friday.
Good man.
I was watching. Obviously, NUFC Matters. Holly Blades and True Faiths, Emil, Alex Hurst, and Adam. Were on there talking to Carragher, and they did a great job. It was a really, really interesting talk, and I liked the chat. I like the fact that Carragher's gone back and had that conversation with them. I would like that to be an ongoing feature with the way in which our club moves forward, going into next season and beyond. I like that to be kind of a continued feature. But one thing I couldn't get my head around is that I'm pretty sure that's NUFC Matters, Fans Forum, Darren, representing the masses at Shearer's Bar. And I'm glad you confirmed that was you. But
yeah, it was me. I was waiting for my brother, and then they just come down, but things aren't all right. And I'm on Sky Sports News. I've got a few text messages and all that saying.
Brilliant stuff. No,
I was Friday, right? ESM, and now Pete, and now you love him, but to me, he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He just doesn't do nothing. We were talking on Saturday to Malcolm out, a few people, we were saying if he wants to get £50 million, we'll drop him off. And when he got subbed, a lot of people didn't clap him off. And a lot of people did a few people clapped him, but not many. I didn't get clapped. I think he's dreadful. He just doesn't release the ball in the 92nd minute. He had a chance to go to the corner flag. He wanted to take a shot. Do you know what I mean? They killed the time, got the corner flag. Kraft had a good game, mind, I thought. And Bruno, obviously Bruno's man of the match. But Emil Kraft, he had a good game. What do you think?
For me, I thought Kraft was very, very good. If anyone's watched Loading HQ away days that I had on the Thursday, I actually on the tactics board I had Manquillo to start, but I did say it would not surprise me at all if Kraft starts, because it seems like there's a lot of trust been built with Emil Kraft recently in the way in which he's playing. I don't think he's put a foot wrong. I think that the fact that he's been given a lot of game time, and the fact that he seems to have built and developed confidence in his own game really seems to be coming through. This is the best I've seen Emil Kraft play in a Newcastle shirt since he signed. So yeah, I thought he had a very, very good game, and yet we talk about all the little things, but another clean sheet for Emil Kraft ticked off. With the other 3 lads at the back, I thought he was very good.
Yeah. I just think Kraft didn't get enough chance in the Bruce. He just didn't get like regular first team football. On Eddie's getting a lot more chances. He's just come good. He's like a new player really for us, and he's just doing everything right.
Do you not think it's down to coaching? Do you not
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's down
yeah.
to
Completely down to
Eddie Howe coaching him?
Yeah, I think Eddie's so like you see how the players are positioned and everything. He does that. He has some position. If don't do anything in training right, that he does it again. And every player knows where they are playing. They know what they're going to do on set pieces and defending corners, free kicks. Every player know where they're going to be, and they go so much in depth what he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's definitely one to look at. I mean, look, let's face it, and then Chris coming on this one as well. I think everyone thought when the takeover went through that Emil Kraft's out the door, but you know, and he was one of them. I think we did a list a couple of weeks ago, Chris. Someone asked the question, "Who do you think is going to be leaving Newcastle in the summer?" I think we might have reeled off about 10 or 12 players, and Kraft would be one of them. But I'll ask the question to both Darren and you, Chris, is that, you know, do you think Kraft will be leaving the club in the summer the way things have been going at the moment?
I mean, originally I thought he would be. Obviously, you know that I'm a fan of Manquillo. I think when Manquillo comes in, we look solid. I also like the fact that he can play left back as well. But fair play to Eddie. I mean, he's stuck with Kraft, and for him to drop Manquillo and bring him straight back in. I think it might have been Daz who said this to me, actually. Didn't Manquillo go off? Manquillo went off against Tottenham, didn't he? Now,
yes.
I didn't know whether that was a tactical change or Daz seemed to suggest that maybe, you know, he'd had a slight injury or whatever. But I'm pretty sure on Friday, Manquillo was on the bench. So maybe he's just preferred Kraft going up against Johnny, Wolves' left back. I don't know. But I would have thought when this takeover went through, Pete, and you're absolutely right, that, you know, Kraft would have been one of the first people out the door, but maybe we do keep him. I mean, the one thing you can't knock Emil Kraft for is, you know, his professionalism. He's never in the news for anything bad. He seems to be the kind of player who, you know, if he gets let down or if, you know, he gets dropped, he doesn't make a big song and dance out of it. He just gets on with it. Obviously, we all know he's a Swedish international. Maybe Eddie Howe's looking at him and thinking, do you know what? He's not on, I would imagine he's not on massive wages. We brought him in for a relatively low fee because I think the club we signed him from had brought him in for a relatively low fee. I think it was around 4 million we got him for. Was it Angers we bought him from?
Imes or something. I think
Imes, yeah.
In the French league. So they had him on loan, and then as part of their loan agreement, they had a confirmation fee for the summer. So he had a good loan on the back end of it going in the same way as Rafa Benitez's last 6 months. He had a good loan spell there. They confirmed that they wanted to sign him permanently, but then because he played that well, a lot of other teams were after him. So I think they confirmed a signing for him for like 2 million, and they were going to make a quick extra 2 million. And obviously they're not an affluent club with loads of money, so they thought we're making 2 million for basically nothing. So because Newcastle came in with 4 million, they accepted it. But a really weird situation. But it meant that they benefited from it, and we obviously got the player. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what Darren thinks. But I'm starting to see now that Eddie Howe is really trusting Emil Kraft. I mean, in the summer, you know, we know that when Kevin Trippier comes back, he's first choice. So whether or not Eddie Howe looks,
I would 100% keep Kraft 100%. And Manquillo, I like him, Chris, but I think it's time for him to move on personally because he's been there for a long time. I just think Kraft watch on Friday. You look at him and I like to look at him. He's just like up and down, get his foot stuck in, and he does the simple things right. So I would keep Kraft, but like Joe Litton again, the midfield wasn't great on Friday. Give the ball away a few times. Like, there was a bit of laziness a bit off him, and Shelby had the legs. And I the crowd was quiet too. I thought on Friday it was a very quiet crowd. It wasn't a normal. Do you know what I mean? Friday night gear. I think the crowd was very quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was difficult for me to kind of know that for sure because I wasn't in there. But what do you think? Do you think it was quite quiet in there on Friday?
Yeah, I thought it was personally because they say like you won't like only sang towards the last 5, like when we needed the full time, but was very quiet. I think it was a bit nervous really because we knew we needed the 3 points, and Wolves didn't turn up. They were dreadful, and I know we helped them play dreadful. We had 3. I think had 3 of the best players missing, which did help us. They had no creativity in midfield at all, and nothing going forward. I had a couple of shots, but the brother had them covered. But the crowd was high. It was very quiet. I was a bit nervous when they. But we won. That's the most important bit. We won. We got them 3 points. So winning ugly is good because like last year we were getting beat.
Yeah, absolutely
right.
Absolutely
It kind of, to be fair, it reminded me a little bit of I think you used the right word, in nervousness, because when I was at the Villa game at St James's, when we were there 1-0, and it was a little bit the same. So we'd just come off the back of an outstanding atmosphere for the Everton home game, where we obviously we beat Everton. It was a great night under the lights. But then I was expecting maybe some of the same on Sunday, but it was very nervous because it was a better team that we're playing against, and we're a little bit unsure because we needed the points whether we're going to beat them. And there was a nervousness until we scored, and then maybe towards the back end of the game against Villa, it started to ramp up again because we're trying to get behind the players. It did actually kind of feel a little bit like that for the Wolves game, in that until we kind of scored, and until maybe the last 10, even 7-8 minutes is when the fans really got behind the players to kind of try and get them over the line. So yeah, and look, that's bound to be the case. I think the fact that we're on 34 points now, the fact that Burnley lost on Sunday, I am fully expecting Sunday to be a spectacle. I am fully expecting War Flags to come out. I think they've got plans for Sunday that are going to be really good. I think the fans are going to be a little bit more relaxed because we're 10 points clear. And I do think, the fans will really get behind the boys again when Leicester come to town.
Bruno's he's just a different caliber. He just makes everything so easy. Like he looks like he just passes the ball. It's just a different level. How we got him is beyond me.
You're right. He's too good. He is. But look. Just a question for you, Darren. Obviously, Bruno's come in and he's let's face it, I think we all know that he's one of the first names on the team sheet now because of how good he is. But moving forward, every midfielder fit, no injuries, no illnesses. Who is your midfield 3 that you go with? Just say, Willock's fit, ready to go Sunday. All midfielders are fit in that midfield 3, that pocket 3. Who are you choosing going into that Leicester game?
Bruno, Willock, Joe Linton if he wants to play well, because I like Joe Linton, but he's on Friday he wasn't really up for it. You know what I mean? And like he give the ball away a couple of times. But if Joe Linton's on form all day long, Joe Linton he's fighting for the ball. He wants the ball. But he wasn't. And I can be able to have an off day then we was wrong. But I was Willock, Bruno, and Joe Linton. That's how I would play it, me personally, because I think Shelby, he likes to pass 2 yards, and that's left and right. Bruno likes.
It's interesting actually. There's a comment on there saying Bruno is our quarterback, but for long periods, John Joe Shelby was called our quarterback for exactly the same thing, playing deep, likes to control and dictate the play. But Chris, I'll come to you. Same question really. All centre midfielders fit and available. Who are you going for?
It's a difficult one, Pete. It's a really, really difficult one. I think if everybody was fit, and assuming we play in the way we do with a holder and then the 2 in the middle of the park who kind of covered each wing and are all action, if you like, I think it has to be Bruno Holden with Joe Linton on the left of the centre midfield and Willock on the right of the centre midfield. But I will say, in the summer, and you might not like this, Pete, in the summer, I would probably be looking to see if we can upgrade Willock. And the reason I say that, I want to keep Willock, and I think as a squad player, absolutely, and I think he can bring something to the team. Don't get me wrong. but I don't know what it is. I think we need, if we're going to upgrade certain parts of the midfield, I think we need that all action central midfielder who's getting the assists and getting the goals. And that's no slant on Willock. And like I say, since he's come back into the fold, and obviously under Eddie Howe, I think he's improved tenfold. And what is he, 21, 22? I do see his future at Newcastle if he continues to progress as he has been. But I just feel, to really get in there amongst the big boys, I don't know if Willock is the answer, maybe past the 2-year mark. I think we may start to look to upgrade. Maybe we don't do it this summer. Maybe we don't. But if we're talking about really making an impact and really pushing on, I don't know if Joe Willock is in the starting 11 for me. I'd have him on the bench, and I'd be happy if he came in or was covering an injury or he's come on as a sub. But week in, week out, do I see Joe Willock in the starting 11? I don't know. I really don't know. I've got to be honest. What do you think about that?
I think I agree. As harsh as it could be for a player that we just spent 20 odd million for in the summer, I think that's the reality of where this club's moving forward now. In that, I think Willock's performances, in his goals, in his performances in general, kept Bruno out of the team. So there's always a question mark. Bruno's getting filtered into the team. The reason why is because our midfield three is playing so well. Who is it that's keeping him out of the team? Most thought it was Shelvey. I certainly thought it was Shelvey. I actually think now it was Willock. Willock's performances were keeping Bruno out of the team, and we did sense that because Willock would always get subbed for Bruno. Even in the early weeks, and we thought it might have been just because Willock's gave everything and he's absolutely shattered him. We're just giving him a rest, and it kind of like wasted a little bit of time. But actually, I think there's a genuine thought process in why Bruno hadn't started. It's because of Willock, and as soon as Willock's performances dropped, he was not good against Tottenham. In my opinion, I thought he won the free kick in which we scored, great, but in game, I don't think he played well at all. So for me personally, I just think that actually Joe Willock will eventually become a squad player. I think what we're going to do in a number of positions, and we talked about the wingers, we talked about, is it going to be Miggy or Jacob Murphy? We're now having the same conversation. Is it going to be Sean Longstaff or Isaac Hayden potentially? Because I think what's going to happen is one player from each position will potentially leave in those key positions. So you've got Dwight Gale that will leave. We'll get an elite striker, a top striker that will come in and replace him. We'll get someone like either Miggy or Jacob Murphy leave. We'll get a top level winger that will come and replace him. We'll get either Isaac Hayden or Sean Longstaff will go on a free. And we'll get a top quality midfielder to replace them. And I think that's what we're going to do. We'll have Federico Fernandez, Kieran Clark that will leave. And then we'll get one or two top quality centre-backs to come in and replace them. And that's what I think what we'll do in the summer. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes, but I think where those players will leave, we'll get elite players to come in and replace them and build the squad that way. And I do think that Willock's going to really need to step up his game. I think this is it. We're going in a direction where he's going to have to really step up his game if he wants to stay and play at the club. It's as simple as that. So, great point.
What about ESM and Peter? I know you're a big fan of him. You kind of dodged a question. I watched him for about 10 minutes. And I was watch him personally. He just doesn't track back. He doesn't get. He's just there. There was one point he was going forward. He kept losing the ball. And the crowd was starting to get frustrated with him. And a lot of the conversation now with ESM, people are getting sick of him. And I could say on Saturday, on Friday, sorry, like 92nd minute, 1-0, we win 1-0. He's got the ball, run to the corner flag, waste time. That was Alan Shearer, our thing, or Leslie Ferdinand went straight to the corner flag, hold the ball up, kind of try and get the throw in or waste, you know what I mean? But he didn't. He went towards goal, and the keeper got the ball in there on attack. And I just don't think he's got the football knowledge what to do. simple balls, he can't pass it. It's so frustrating as a you see it, like say we're all like say everybody's watching him, and when he went off, people like a lot of people didn't clap, and people was happy to see him go off. But when Bruno went off, everybody was up clapping him, and like he's only played one good game in about 5. And if we want to go forward, we need players to consistently perform.
First and foremost, Bruno Guimaraes was the best player on the pitch. So
Yeah.
if he didn't get a standing ovation, no one deserved a standing ovation.
Yeah.
It was that clear. Like, he was outstanding. Alan Saint-Maximin, I understand the frustration. I understand why people were frustrated with Alan Saint-Maximin, but I think there's a reason behind it, and about why he does things the way he does. Now, with Alan Saint-Maximin, he is a player that plays off the cuff. He is a player that for 2 years has been basically the main man at Newcastle United. He has been the one that the club have depended on, that the players have depended on, that the fans have depended on. And there's an element to him that enjoyed that enjoyed being the main man at the team and enjoyed being the match winner. And I think there's an element of him that misses not having those moments where he scores the goals, that wins the game, or he creates a magic moment that wins the game for the team. Now, some will argue, well, he needs to be a team player. I think he proved at times in the game on Friday that he is a team player. He was releasing the ball a lot better at times where he wouldn't necessarily do so. So he is learning from that. But I think with Alan Saint-Maximin, you know, the concerns about him losing the ball in areas, there were some that I would question that he could have won free kicks for, because I think there were some that where he did lose the ball and the game played on, I thought were free kicks and the referee should have gave them, and he was very unlucky. I think there were some, like you talked about, where he made that. So, for example, he made that fantastic blistering run. And I think, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, where it was the run where he had the 8 men around him, or it was the one where he made the run and he hit it on his left foot and it went to the keeper.
Yeah, that one there, that one.
So for that one in particular, yes, naturally, you would ask a player to go and run into the corner to hold up the ball. But it goes back to my original point. He wants to be that guy that scores in the big moments, that produces a moment. You look at the way he celebrated when he scored against Southampton and he thought he won the game at St. James's Park. He ran into the crowd. He celebrated with the fans. Like, he wants that. And at that moment in time, his instincts of wanting to be the match winner and the goal scorer for the club, and it's not ego related, it's because he loves the club so much. You look at the way he celebrated with Chris Wood when he scored the penalty. It was one of the first ones to him, getting a massive big hug. Yeah. So happy. It's not through ego, it's through wanting to be the best. It's wanting to do the best for the team, and he's so used to being the main man. I think he's trying too hard at the moment. I think he's trying far too hard to be that main man. I think he needs to simplify his game, but I think that instinct to want to be the best is maybe overclouding some of his judgment at times. And I think it's not done nastily. It's not done with any sort of disrespect. It's just a young lad wanting to be the best he can be for us, the fans, to show us that he's still capable of those big moments. He's still capable of being the player that the fans loved, because I don't think he feels the same love as he did before. And there was a moment in the game where, you know, he'd given the ball away a few times, not for the want of trying. He was trying hard, but there was at one point where the Gallagher started singing his name. They started chanting his name, and you know, I think he ended up clapping the fans back or showing some form of appreciation to the fans. And I think from that point on, he had a better game. And I think it was because he needed to know that he was loved. He needed to know that he was wanted. Yes, some fans might get annoyed about that, saying he doesn't need to be that type of player, and why should the fans support him when he's giving the ball away? But some players feed off that. Some players benefit from that. And Alan Saint-Maximin is a confidence player. He needs to know that he's loved and wanted and is being supported. And I think once he gets that, and if he does get that, I think you'll start to see a better player. So, for example, he gave a ball away a couple of times, and he was frustrated with himself, and you could hear the groans from the TV, and he was arguably frustrated. But then once the fans started to clap him and chant him at that point, it wasn't long after that he produced that little flick of magic that set Joe Linton away, which earned the penalty. So for all of his bad performance, he still had a hand in the most crucial moment in the game that won us the game. So for me, yes, his overall game needs to improve. Yes, he needs to maybe release the ball at the right time. For me, he needs to play on the right-hand side. I've said it so many times. For me, he's very much predictable on the left-hand side because he cuts in onto his right. He tries to shoot. He needs to play on the right-hand side, and he needs to mix up his game a little bit. He needs to spend a little bit of time over on that side to keep defenders guessing. That's just my opinion. But
no, you're right with that. I agree with that.
I'm not going to get on his back so much. I'm just not, because I think there's still levels to his performances we're yet to see. It's only a couple of games in, so he's still building up his fitness. And you know what? Being honest, it would not surprise me if he turns up on Sunday and has a blinder, and that's just Saint-Maximin.
I thought Mickey, like say Chris at the home, Mickey had a good game. He come on, he's a different player on the Eddie. He's more control, he's more, and he looked a different player, touching the ball, his movement. He had a good game too. I thought our Fraser's out, unlucky Fraser's out, but I think we were saying Maxi and Amaron switch every now and again to confuse defenders. So just playing that one side, alternate now through a game that could work.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, mate. I think there's more to see from Miggy, and it's whether or not Eddie can tease it out of him. Maybe, as Pete said, if Ryan Fraser has picked up this hamstring injury and we see Miggy get a run of games, maybe 2 or 3 games, maybe if he can impress, it might be something where we decide to keep Miggy going forward. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see in the summer, but I do still feel there is something in there with Miggy, but I'm just a little bit worried that he won't consistently churn out performances like that. That's my only concern. And I do think that Miggy Almiron does attract a certain value. And I wonder whether if a top player becomes available and the club ask for Miggy Almiron in a swap, I think Eddie Howe lets him go myself.
Yeah, I like that's what I say, because I like Miggy's work rate. It's you kind of question his work rate. He's non-stop. He's like Duracell battery. Keeps going, and you may not have the final miss bad shot, but at least he never dropped. He goes back, tries again. That's you kind of follow him for that. But yeah, it'll be interesting what he can do in the next few games.
Yeah, there's that as well. And I read this earlier on today in that apparently there's a 59 million buyout clause for Miggy in his contract that I certainly wasn't aware of. But someone.
What did you say there, Pete?
Yeah, I'm just saying the comment from David Cook there saying that I read earlier on today that apparently Miggy's got a 59 million buyout clause in his contract. So if Miggy is to leave, it's going to have to be a negotiated fee. So yeah, that was quite interesting to read that from David. But
I think that tells you everything as well, Pete. That tells you what we were expecting of Miggy. And I think if Miggy had hit the heights that we were expecting him to hit, we'd probably be saying 60, because I want more than 60. But now, say for example, someone in Spain or Germany or Italy came in for Miggy Almiron, we're not getting nowhere near that. And I think that's the issue. We've got a player in our hands who probably hasn't hit the heights that he should or could. Obviously, we've put that clause in, but under Ashley, no doubt he's probably thought, great, I'll make a nice 30-40 million on what we've spent on him. And it's not quite panned out like that. And that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, having a player who's got that kind of buyout clause, and he's nobody in the right mind would pay that for Miggy Almiron, and it's a shame. But that's probably why we're talking.
I think we're looking to get £30 million for him, me personally.
I think that even that'd be generous, probably.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But it'd be like say I want 3 more points to be just to say we're safe, and then like you say, and then we're going to start talking next who's going to come next season, what players we're going to get in thing. But to the mathematically we're safe. We're not going to rest. But if you look like the fixtures of Burnley, they've got a few hard ones, and Norwich mathematically they can catch us and Watford, but they've got the games they've got to play. They can't. They've got to play some of the big boys. Yeah. So it's basically on Burnley, because that's the team who's they can catch us, but they've got a few home games. So it's all depends on how they play.
Yeah, that's true. Be interesting to see how it goes. That's for sure. But Darren, I'm going to leave it there because we've got one more guest in the green room, and we're short on time. So
cheers, boys.
Great to chat to you.
Right,
and fingers crossed we'll speak to you next week. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Darren. Cheers, mate.
Great to have Darren on. Great points as always. And yeah, some really interesting talking points about ASM and Miggy. That's for sure. Miggy and ASM would always draw talking points because they do split the fan base at times. So it is a very interesting one to discuss, and everyone's got a different opinion on both players. But we'll bring in our last guest of the evening. Welcome in Dunhill. How you doing, Dunhill?
Evening, guys. How are we? All good. Yeah, I've got the kit on as well. Yeah.
Good man.
Talk to them. What are you going to talk about, mate?
Yeah, what I was going to talk about was I noticed today UEFA apparently are going to set a guideline as to how much can be spent by clubs, 70% or something of the turnover in the next 3 years. And what I was going to say was, I've just got moved into a different room here. Just because it's a bit I've got a light on now.
There we go.
And what I was going to say was, they're putting in these rules now. Why now? I mean, we've had clubs fall by the wayside, go out of business, a la sort of Bury, and Derby are in trouble.
Yeah, right.
I honestly don't get them. Plus, how are they going to enforce it? Unless somebody with a fine tooth, because I work in accountancy anyway, so I know these things. Unless somebody goes through the books with a fine tooth comb, how are they going to work out this 70%, etc.? Because one club's accounts are going to look totally different from another, as to how items are treated, because if you know accountancy yourselves, how somebody treats an item one way, another person won't treat this as a certain item a different way, i.e. the creativity. So I find that very bizarre that they finally come to their senses after all these casualties. Clubs being in trouble. I mean, we can go even further back. I mean, Leeds were in financial trouble as well, weren't they?
Yeah. They were on the brink. They were on the brink.
Yeah, another one. So really, it's a case of shutting the door after the horse has bolted, in my opinion. And there's been a lot of horses have bolted, and finally they've decided to shut the door. And I don't get that. I just beats me. But anyway, another point I was going to come to, this trial of 60-minute matches. What's all that about? I mean, what we're going to have next, 4 quarters. I'm going to try and Americanize, football, like, after every 15 minutes, after every 15 minutes, going to have breaks for I don't know, baked beans or something.
Sounds like an American sport, that doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every 15 minutes is a break.
Leave football as it is. 90 minutes. It's what we've all grown up with. Yeah. It's a basic rule we've always done. How long is a game of football? 90 minutes. Not two halves of half an hour. 4 quarters of 15 minutes apiece. And leave football as it is.
This is it. I think over the years, Donald, they're trying to bring in all different things, aren't they? Obviously we've seen VAR come in, and VAR's, it works in many ways. We're starting to get used to it a little bit more now, but still, obviously, some big tweaks need to be made. There's been a lot of big mistakes this season, and hopefully it improves next season.
The technology has been far too inconsistent.
Yeah. Oh, the people using the technology have been far too.
It's whereas I found in European leagues, it seems to work fine.
Yeah. And we've seen it in other sports. I mean, you in your tennis and your rugby, they use video evidence, if you like, and it seems to work pretty well. And I do think that VAR has a place. I do believe VAR has a place in football, but I just think it's got to be managed correctly. And I do worry about the people who are behind the VAR, and I think that's half the problem, and the way that we're managing it. Like, for example, I know we've spoke about this previously, but you have referees who miss things or don't see things, and then it goes to VAR, and then VAR don't say, go and look at the screen, go and have a look at the screen. We always know now, whenever a referee goes to a screen, the decision's getting overturned. Everyone knows it. For the fact that's what's going to happen, but really, can they not just send the referee over and go, listen, we're a little bit unsure. You make your own decision.
VAR should be the referee's eye in the sky, sort of thing. Yeah. Basically, if he's missed something in his earpiece, you say, I don't know, whoever, Martin or whoever, you better have another look at that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It would be nice if, referees were told to go to the screen, and if the referee says, listen, I've seen it, don't need to go to the screen, I'm leaving it. Even then, and at least the referee would be held accountable. At the moment, referees only go to the screen when the VAR people tell them to go to the screen, and 9 times out of 10, it's because they've said, "Oh, you've had a shocker there, mate. You need to change the decision," and they never stand by the decision. They always overturn it. And that's the problem.
It's too. It's far too inconsistent. I'll tell you another thing as well. This clear and obvious.
Yeah, clear and obvious.
Yeah. Need some examples of that. When I don't think half the referees know what's clear and what's obvious.
No.
At times, and we can see it, watch it, but they can't.
I was just going to say, Dylan, I just think that referees don't want to make the decisions anymore. I think because they've got VAR as a backup, they would rather it go to VAR to make the ultimate decision, because at least then it's not at their door. The blame isn't at their door that way. It is at the door of the people behind VAR, and the referees are almost doubly protected that way. That's my opinion on it, and that's why you find that VAR is being used so much more for so many different decisions now, and why decisions are not stuck to, because VAR is ultimately the ones that make the final decisions in those key moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I was going to say with VAR, what I don't get is, for example, in other sports where they have the fourth umpire or whatever, that person is actually in the stadium or in the ground, in somewhere high up in the sky. Yeah. Why is it that, say, at St. James's, the decision is being, because I actually, a bit sad, but because I didn't know where Stockley Park was, I actually Googled where it was. How come a VAR decision is coming from 300-400 miles away down in London? It should be there. And I'm not just saying for SJP, all stadiums. I mean, how much space does a VAR room take up?
It's not. It's for that. It's for the reason that it's at Stockley Park, is that it's somewhere else in the country that no fans are able to question the people that are making these decisions. If they're 300 miles away, somewhere else, and not St. James's Park, they can feel confident and comfortable making that decision and not feel bad about it, because they've not got to come into contact with any of those fans that it affects on a negative point of view. So for me, that's why it happens.
Yeah, but still, I think personally, to get better consistency, there should be if they're going to use VAR, there should be one in the stadiums, in each stadium, so that there's that, coordination of. I would say it'd be better coordination. You're right. What you say as well. Basically, if they're 100 miles away, that means they're safe. But life is such. Sometimes you have to make a tough decision, and you have to face the consequences. It's not about you can't just hide behind a wrong decision. You have to, dare I say it, man up. So that's a couple of my points I thought I'd bring up today, having read things and
No, I think they're really useful points.
Really good points, mate.
Yeah, I think they are, and it's going to be interesting to see how those potential rumours manifest in terms of the 60-minute matches and the various other things. They've already changed the substitutes to 5 substitutes next season.
Yeah.
So they're already changing the way in which the process is in the Premier League and in English football. So yeah, it would definitely be something to keep an eye on, that's for sure. But yeah, great talking points and something a little bit different as well, Daniel. So appreciate that.
Yeah. I thought, well, everybody's gone through the game. I mean, we're all over the moon, but so I thought I'll bring up something else, being that it is a fans forum, and we're not just obviously Newcastle fans, but we're general football fans. Yeah, general football fans as well. But yeah, I read things day in day out on the net, and I'm thinking, what's happening to our game? Leave it alone.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
Tighten. Sort the bits out that aren't working as well, and then we're fine.
Yeah. Have to agree, Daniel. Have to agree.
And then we're fine. But thanks for having us on again. Good to see you, both of you.
Great to have you back on, Donald. Yeah, we haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, as I say, I was itching to get on today, so I thought, I'll get on and see how.
Welcome back anytime, Daniel. You know that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you guys take care. I gotta go eat now because my late tea's ready. So see you later, man. Okay.
Right. Yeah, speak to you next week. Top man.
Good to see you, Daniel. Take care, mate.
Yeah, great to have Daniel on. Some good points as well. But one or two issues that are different to what we've already discussed tonight. With regards to that, I would hate if it turned to a 60-minute match. That's for sure. One of those things.
No good,
that would be horrible. But yeah, the VAR decisions and one or two things it is raised. There are reasons why these things happen. They're not great at all. But yeah, some really good guests tonight. Really good guests. Again, happy birthday to Jimmy. Jimmy and Amanda, should I say? And I saw on Twitter he's had a lovely kind of message back from Mirdad. I think he's tweeted out to say that it was obviously his and Amanda's birthday today. Jimmy has, and Mirdad's responded to him to say happy birthday, which is a lovely touch and well deserved for Jimmy. So yeah, really, really good to see that. And look, we've got a ton of questions. Don't think we're going to get through them all tonight, but I think it's about that time because there's some great questions, and let's try and dig through a few of them if we can.
There is, mate. Yeah, I mean, we'll try and get through as many as we can, and obviously, normally we like to spend a bit more time on this, guys, but we've had that many. I'll warn you, Pete. There's 43 starred comments. So we might have to literally, some of them, please don't think we're being rude, but we're literally just going to give like a sentence answer, and we'll just go through them. Normally we'd like to spend more time, but we've had so many good guests, and well, we've had 5 guests tonight, haven't we? So it's been harder to get through. But Pete, before we start the questions, I had a quick question for you. And this was from Lee, who I do speak to a lot outside of the shows, and Lee asked me to ask you a question this evening, and the question would be, I think I know the answer, but if Spurs offered you Heung-min Son for 30 million plus ASM, would you take it?
I think it'd be hard to say no to that deal. Heung-min Son is an outstanding talent, and he's an elite player.
Yeah.
I would argue that I think he's too good for Tottenham.
Yeah.
Human Song is a player that should be winning trophies. Banter aside, I don't think Tottenham are going to win trophies anytime soon, in my opinion. So for a lad that's 29, 30 right now, in the peak of his powers, I think he should be at another team. Picking up trophies. Unfortunately for him, he's got an owner or a chairman or whoever you want, Daniel Levy, who will drive such a high bargain that no one's going to want to pay the fee to take him out of Tottenham. It's as simple as that. And he's just signed a new contract. So, yeah, if that was the case and it was a little bit of money and ASM to get Son in, yeah, I would take that. He is the finished article. So that's the difference. At 30 years old, he is the finished article. Now, you could argue that 5 years ago, he wasn't the finished article and he wasn't putting in the same performances now that he was 5 years ago. You could argue he's probably playing better than ASM was now, but he certainly wasn't. But what I'm saying is, and the reason why I'm saying it is that there is still trajectory there in ASM, and Heung-min Son is always played in a team that's been significantly better than Newcastle's team has over the last 5 years. And we have to remember that. ASM has been playing in an average Premier League side. Heung-min Son has been playing in a very, very good side. So I just think we need to give ASM time to play in a more attacking-minded team and not a team that's defending 10 men behind the ball. You can never showcase your true abilities when that. And let's face it, Eddie Howe has already said he's not playing the way he wants to play.
No.
As a manager, he wants to play a different way, but he can't because he hasn't got the players to play a different way. So if he wants to play a different way, that may unlock ASM, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I think you're absolutely spot on what you say. Now, this will make you laugh, but the very first question that we've had from Tom Dixon, and Tom, we're not going to answer this question. And the reason we're not going to answer this question, Tom, you've asked Newcastle's expiring contracts this summer: Sean Longstaff, Fabian Schär, Paul Dummett, Matt Targett, loan. Should we keep them all? Tom, I'm going to say to you, get yourself on Loaded Mag tomorrow night, because funnily enough, that is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Am I right, Pete? We're going to be talking about players we should keep, players we should sell, and players we should look to recruit. So tomorrow night, Loaded Mag. Am I right saying 8 o'clock, Pete?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, 8 o'clock. Loaded HQ.
Yeah, get yourself Loaded HQ, and we will be talking all things that, Tom. So I'm gonna keep you there. Keep your mouth watering there, mate. You'll have to wait until tomorrow night, and we will talk about that in more detail. Okay, Emma Griffin with an interesting one. Evening, guys. What do you think the club should do about Dan Ashworth's situation? Pay or wait? Emma, I'm going to answer that one really quickly. I think we should wait. I don't think there's any hurry. And it wouldn't surprise me, I've said this before, if there wasn't some dealings being done behind the scenes where whilst he's on gardening leave, he's doing a little bit of work for Newcastle. But obviously, don't quote me on that. I'm not saying that's happening because I don't know. But I don't see the point in paying $5 million for someone when you can get them for free in a few months' time or 6 months' time. And as I say, who knows? He might be doing some work behind the scenes that nobody knows about. What about you, Pete?
For me personally, I think, people might not be aware, but Brighton are on the verge of announcing his replacement, Dan Ashworth's replacement. Which I think David Weir was the one that kind of took the reins from Dan Ashworth when he left the club, when he left Brighton. And I think they're on the verge of announcing his replacement, whether it's David Weir or somebody else, I'm not quite sure. So therefore, in terms of Brighton's point of view, I think their saga's over in terms of finding the right replacement for Dan Ashworth. And I think come the end of the season, I think there'll be an agreement made. In the close season, when everything's kind of closed, finished off for the season, everything goes quiet, I think there'll be a deal to be made in which he's then allowed to start in the summer. That's my personal opinion. But if not, am I bothered about waiting till November? Not really. Eddie Howe's already said he's quite comfortable in taking on the additional responsibilities of the transfer business. He did it again in January. I don't think
he did a great job.
Yeah, and he did. So, not the worst thing in the world, but yes, ideally we'd want someone of his caliber taking over the reins quite early on. But watch his space. We'll see.
Yeah. David Cook with an interesting one. This certainly caught my attention when I first flagged it, Pete. Evening, guys. See City are looking to bring Mikel Merino back to the Premiership for 50 million. Thought he was decent for us. Why did he sell him? So, again, David, I'll quickly answer this. And then, Pete, obviously, you throw in any comments. But I believe he had a clause in his contract, and that clause was met by Real Sociedad. And basically, we couldn't stand in his way. I think it was a clause where if a certain amount was triggered, he would be allowed to leave for Spain if he wanted to. And I think Real Sociedad took advantage of that. And one of the reasons we got him so cheap is because that clause was inserted. So sadly, we lost him. But wow, what a player. And certainly someone I'd be interested in the summer if he became available. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I've not seen the link personally, but it wouldn't surprise me that City are linked with him because he's technically very, very good. He's a Man City type of player. Let's be honest. Yeah, Chris has said everything right about the Mikel Merino situation. Real Sociedad are playing European football. Newcastle United were not. And it's as simple as that. Now, the one thing that we have to remember is that Mikel Merino's last 6 months of his career at Newcastle was pretty much on the bench. And the reason being is because that midfield of Diarme, Hayden, Shelby, and I think might have even been Longstaff at that point in time. I don't know. I don't think Longstaff had come on the scene then, but it was certainly Diarme, Hayden. They were keeping him out of the team. Shelby, I think, he was in there as well. They were playing better than him, and he was finding it very difficult to be in the team. He wasn't playing that well, but we knew his potential. Had a number of injuries on the back end of that season, but he is an elite player now. He's a top player, and I would love for him to come back. But are we going to pay the sort of money that he's warranting at the moment? I don't think so.
No. Unfortunately, probably a case, Pete, I'm sure you'll agree, of right player, wrong time. Because I think if he joined us now, when he did then, I think he'd be perfect. But, you know, at the time we got him for a bargain. I think it was it between 6 and 8 million or something like that? And then obviously the clause was in there for 10 million, and that's why he went. So it's a shame. But yeah, little bargain from Rafa there. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't stop him going if he wants to go, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Steve Middlemiss asks, do you think the bottom three are relegated? Steve, I'm going to say no. I still think Everton are in the mix, in my opinion. I think it's between the bottom four. So I think it's going to be between Norwich, Watford, Burnley and Everton. And I don't think Everton are out of it just yet. I know they had a great win against Man United, but there's some difficult games to go, and it'll be interesting to see if Watford and Burnley can push them. I do think Norwich are down, but Watford and Burnley, I think they've still got some very winnable games there where they can, you know, pick up points. But what do you think, Pete?
I think you're absolutely right. I think it's down to the bottom four. I think Leeds have done enough to get those couple of results that have kept them out of it. Obviously, Brentford are above us right now. We're in that position where, you know, we're not quite 100% safe, but I think we are personally. I think we're going to get points on the board between now and the end of the season that will take us beyond 40 points, if I'm honest with you. So I don't think it'll be a worry, but obviously because we're on 34 and not 37, 38, people Newcastle fans are still worried. Personally, I think it'll be the bottom three that goes. I do, but I think it'll be tight. And I think it'll be tight because Everton's games coming up are very difficult. And even the games against the not so top teams are against teams in and around it. So they've got, you know, the likes of Brentford, the likes of Watford that they've got to play. Watford away, I think they've got Brentford at home who are flying at the moment. And then I think they've got Chelsea, Leicester twice, Man City, Liverpool away at Anfield. They've got tough games. Arsenal, they've got tough games. So I think it will be tight. But I think the fact that they beat us and the fact that they beat Man United is pulled them a long way close to being safe. I think if they'd have lost to either us or Man United, I think they probably would have gone down Everton. But I think the fact that they've got 6 points out of those two games is probably just done enough to keep them safe. But again, let's wait and see. But yeah,
Pete, I'm going to let you answer this one, mate. Been discussed many a time. Jeff would love this. Jordy Soon for Life says we've looked at European centre backs with no joy. Ball playing centre back is required. How about John Stones? He ticks all the boxes. Thoughts, lads and lasses.
Yeah, I would love John Stones at Newcastle. I think he'd be a terrific centre back for us. He's never really had a regular spot at Man City. Yes, he's picked up trophies. He's liked by the players at the squad. He's quite a real sort of fun character. In the background, if anyone's watched the documentary Man City on Amazon, you can see how much of a fun character he is. Brings a lot of laughs and joys to the squad. But he's a good, technically a very, very good player. And I think his performances at the Euros were underrated. I thought he was outstanding at the Euros. And I think with regular football, he'd be a top centre-back and be a real good right-sided centre-back, ball-playing centre-back that could take us forward significantly. That would be a real statement signing for me. And I think we could get him at a reasonable price. I think he's going to want to leave in the summer. I think he's going to want to play regularly. He's never going to play regularly under Pep Guardiola. And at this point in his career, at 28 years old, he's got to think to himself, I've won big trophies. He could well win the Champions League in the summer, in May. If Man City get there and he'd have won everything he needs to at a domestic level, he might then think, well, I just need to play regular football. So that's my opinion. 100%, I'd take him.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point, Pete. And also, let's not forget, if he does come to Newcastle, he'll be playing alongside Kieran Trippier, who will not only make him a better centre back, but also is firmly on the thoughts of Gareth Southgate. So if he's playing next to Kieran Trippier regularly, there's no reason why he couldn't, cement a regular place in the England squad as well because of that link with Trippier. So that could be another attraction for him.
Two out of the four of the back four.
Yeah, exactly. Tom Dixon asks, if we beat Leicester on Sunday, do you think we'll be safe? Tom, in a short response to that, yes. Pete, he's nodding. He's happy. I'm happy. Yeah, let's hope we get that win. And obviously, Pete's going to be at the match with his daughter. Fingers crossed. They get that win for you, Pete. I know it'll be fantastic, but it'll mean even more to you, Oda, Pete. Obviously with it being against Leicester, I think you'll be. I think you'll be buzzing with that. I won't ask that one because we've kind of already gone through that. Okay. Simon Davis with a really good question. Pete, do you think Lucas Paqueta will suit the league, and where would they fit into the side? I think if we sign Lucas Paqueta, Simon, it's just a case of you fit him into the side. I think he'd be fantastic. Talking about replacing Joe Willock, I think play sitting just in front of Bruno. I'd love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. But Pete, what are your thoughts on that?
Lucas Paqueta is a top level centre midfielder. He will fit into the Premier League. There's no doubt about it. He's that type of player. So for me, yes, I've got no concerns about that. And does he fit into the side? He fits into those two attacking midfield positions that Joe Linton and for long parts, Joe Linton and Joe Willock have been occupying. The game on Friday, it was Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes with John Joe Shelby sitting deeper. He will occupy one of those two spots. So what you'll probably find next season is that Bruno Guimaraes will come back into that deeper role. Shelby will probably find himself on the bench. And then you'll have Lucas Paqueta and one other. Joe Willock, Joe Linton, Sean Longstaff, whoever it is that's that second person of the two attacking midfielders that will occupy the position. And that'll be a significantly better midfield than what we've got at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. An all Brazilian midfield potentially, Pete.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think it would work well. Okay, interesting question from Gary Milliken, who says, Pete and Chris, would you take any players from Leicester or Palace? Now, Pete, I'm going to ask you this in a sec because I kind of know who I think you're going to say. So I'm going to try and play a guess game here, Pete. I would say that you would say, and they'd probably be the same players on my list as well. I would look at, from Palace, I would look at Elise and I would look at Conor Gallagher. And from Leicester, now he's back fit as well, which I hadn't spotted. I would probably say Wesley Fofana. I think he's kind of gone off the radar a bit. It could be straight back in for him. Probably just them three, actually. I can't think of anybody else who I might be interested in at Leicester. I know we were looking at Sumare a while ago, but I think that ship sailed, and I don't think he's pulled up any trees since he's come to the Premier League. No, so I'd say Elise, and Conor Gallagher from Palace, and I would say Fofana from Leicester. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I'd go alongside to agree with that. Palace, Elise, and Conor Gallagher. I would also throw in there Tariq Mitchell. Tariq Mitchell is, and I've said this before. He got his England cap. When I went to watch him when we played Palace away, he was an outstanding performer on the pitch. He was very, very good. Now he's not a Matt Target. He's not an attacking fullback that likes to get forward, whip balls into the box. That type of fullback. He's just a proper old school fullback. Defend. You can't get past him. He's big, strong, good in a tackle. He can get forward and get balls into the box, but it's not his main game. I just really rate him as a fullback, and I'm not surprised he got called up for England, and I'm not surprised he's got a couple of caps under his belt. Fully deserved. So Tariq Mitchell I'd add to that list. With regards to Leicester, Yuri Tillemans, decent centre midfielder, wants to leave the club. I think he's got a year left on his contract going into this summer. Lots of teams are going to be circling. Wesley Fofana, outstanding talent. He could play any top club in the world. He's that good. Wesley Fofana. One other, just to throw in the mix, Harvey Barnes. I like Harvey Barnes. Can play off the left. He tends to play off the left, but he's had a few injuries over the last couple of years that have kind of hampered him. I think he could have been an England regular had he not had those injuries. I think he was certainly, when he got his last bad injury last season, he was on the verge of England and getting called up to England at that point. Electric speed, knows where the goal is, intelligent player. He can play on the left or the right, but predominantly likes to play on the left because he likes to cut in. He's a terrific talent. I'd add him to that list as well.
Yeah, no, very good shout. Colin Wilson asks, he says, I put this out to Stephen Gibbo. I know he's Stevie G's good mate, but can Villa afford Coutinho's wages? He probably talks to Bruno on a regular basis. What a signing that would be. Would you be looking at Philippe Coutinho in the summer if he became available, Pete?
No. Not really. I think for all the reports that have been circulating, he had an opportunity to sign for us, and he decided to go to Aston Villa. At that point, I think there are other players out there, Lucas Paqueta being one example. There are many others that we could go and sign as an alternative. Can Villa afford his wages? Interesting. Villa have got the money, but Villa have spent a lot of money too. And I can't remember. I think we had the list up a while back on one of the Lodi shows about the losses that teams have been making. And I think Villa are relatively high on that. I don't think they're the highest, but they're up there in terms of losses. So it'll be interesting that maybe they might have to sell. Now, one of the things I'll be interested to see with Aston Villa is that I don't think Danny Ings will be at the team at Villa next season.
No, he's disappointed, hasn't he?
I don't think Douglas Luiz will be at the team at Villa next season. I think they'll probably look to sell a couple of players. It would not surprise me if Tyrone Mings gets sold in the summer. I really think that he could get sold. I think they're going to maybe look to cash in on a few players, because I think Gerrard's looking at these players and been sussing them out a little bit like what Howe's been doing, and maybe looking at moving a few players on for big fees in order to strengthen where he wants to strengthen. So, yeah, it'll be interesting one.
Yeah, no, definitely. Right, okay. The next question. Where am I? Apologies. So, next question from Gary Milliken. Very interesting one. Piss. Is that our new nickname, Pete?
Yeah.
You can tell it's been a long one, can't you? Piss.
They've not even told me about it.
Yeah.
Is that because I'm just drinking brandies all the time? You call me piss?
Need a piss, yeah. Gary Milligan says, Pete and Chris. I hope no one. I hope no one picks up on that. We don't want piss shots every week. That's terrible. Gary Milligan asks, Pete and Chris, who do you think will win the league, and who do you want to win the league? Okay, Gary, that is a very easy, very easy question for me. So, who do I think will win the league? Man City. Who do I want to win the league? Man City. Pete, what about you?
One word, ditto.
Yeah. Yeah, me red mates won't like that, but yeah, I've seen Liverpool win the league, and it still makes me laugh that all the Blues say that league doesn't count because there's an asterisk next to it and said that was the COVID season. So they're like, yeah, you won the league, but it doesn't count. Love that. Obviously, if they won the league this year, that would be fair and square. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of Blues as well watching this if they do, who would totally agree with that. But yeah, I would like to see Man City win the league, and I think Man City will win the league. I think there was a big opportunity for Liverpool to claw back against City at the weekend, and they didn't take it. I don't think Liverpool played particularly well. Albeit, I think a point's a good result at the Etihad Stadium. I don't think it's a bad result, and City are prone to dropping a few clangers. So I don't think the title race is over, but I do think City will win, and I do think I know I would like City to win the league. Jersey Margaret asks, does a full Eddie Howe season with summer transfers mean a European place next season? I mean, Pete, my answer to this question would be possibly. I wouldn't say it's a given, but I think it's a possible. It's a possible, depending on who we sign and how big we go. But what are your thoughts?
I think we fight for Europe. That doesn't mean that we necessarily get it. That doesn't necessarily mean we're guaranteed it. But I think we will, at some point next season, be in the discussion for European football. Now, I'm not talking Champions League. I'm talking maybe even at most Europa Conference. Mm-hmm. Like that's the most I'm talking about next season. But I think we will be. It would not surprise me with the summer activity that we have. That when Sky and the pundits do their predictions for the season, what people might be doing. I think they will talk about West Ham. I think they will talk about Aston Villa, and I think they'll talk about Newcastle United as being one of those. Three of those teams being one of those teams that will break into that European. Now, West Ham have done it for 2 years in a row now, so they'll be talked about that in a lot more depth. They're on the verge of the semi-finals of the Europa League. Wolves are fighting for Europe and are very close to getting it. I think we will be the next team that will be talked about in that sort of light. That's just my opinion, because there'll be genuine fear and expectancy at the same time that will be coming for them.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I absolutely agree. I think we'll definitely be in the mix with the right players if we bring them in. It's not a given to say we'll definitely get it, but I think it's certainly a possibility. Okay, so Derek Sharp asks, Target, Lingard and Paqueta should be our first signs in the summer. Or it doesn't ask, it's just his opinion. Derek, I'd love to see Paqueta and Target signed. I'm not sure on Lingard. I don't know if that ship sails. And as Pete's already said, I think he's practically joined West Ham if rumours are believed to be true. And maybe we move on from Lingard. Maybe that was a January, buy now or never kind of thing.
He's not signing for us, Chris. No. Lingard's not signing for us. No. Like you've just said, a now or never. There was a number of players. Diego Carlos was another one at Seville. It was either we sign him in January or not at all. Lingard's exactly the same. Lingard won't be, and I think Mitch actually on NUFC Matters on the Three Amigos quite rightly alluded to that same fact as well. He said, from what he's hearing, that Lingard is off the agenda, that he's not even part of the discussions anymore. And I'm not surprised by that. No. Because, even before we became interested in him in January, it was really quite openly talked about that he'd already pre-agreed a move to West Ham anyway at the end of the season, which is why West Ham tried to make that transfer deal permanent in January. But because they were fighting for Man United for top four, Man United refused and would only look to loan him to us because of that reason, because we weren't considered a threat at that point. But yeah, I think he'll be a West Ham player next season, not us. And to be honest, you know, at 29, 30 years old, I think there are other wingers out there probably at a better age and maybe even technically a better ability that can offer us a little bit more. I agree. Lingard's a good player, a very good player, but if you look over the course of his career, he's had very up and down moments. He had a good moment at West Ham, doesn't necessarily mean that'll be the same again. And he's barely kicked a ball all season. So who's to say that that's going to then hamper him going into next season? We don't know. So
not to mention he's a free signing, so he'll want a nice big signing on fee, and he'll probably command whatever wages he wants. So would it break the wage structure? Wouldn't surprise me. So maybe we'd look elsewhere. Geordie Tune for Life says, and this was a good point actually made from before, Pete, saying that we could send Lascelles back to Forest as part of the deal, and I think he's talking about the deal for Brennan Johnson. So that, you know, that's not a bad shout. That could be it. Maybe even Carl Darlow. I know someone else in the chat said Carl Darlow as well. Obviously, we got them from Forest, so yeah, it's a perfectly good shout.
Wouldn't surprise me if Lascelles goes back to Forest, but not next season. I think so. No? Lascelles will still be in our squad next season, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think.
But we spoke about loads of players leaving, didn't we, Pete? And you can't push like 12 or 15 players out the door in one go. So like you say, he's probably not high on the list in 2-3 seasons. Maybe he's not here, but yeah, I do tend to agree with you. They wouldn't necessarily kick him out the door, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the captain.
Yeah, this is it. Benny B1892 says, is there a case for Anderson? Is there a case for leaving Anderson with Bristol and Joey Barton if they get promoted to League One? Most important thing is that he plays week in, week out, not like the previous years loanees that don't play. It's a fantastic point, Benny. I mean, me personally, I'd like to see him in a higher level than League One next season. But I totally take your point in that, you know, he's going to be playing in a team that are going to be battling to stay in League One next season. And if he really, you know, ups his levels, maybe we could agree it till January, and then, you know, say in January, right, it's time for the Championship now, mate. You know, you need to go up another notch. But you know, if he's playing games under Joey Barton and they're really happy with him, you know, I do see your point in leaving him there. I mean, what do you think on that, Pete?
Yeah, I think having that continuity with the manager of the team, the players, can have a positive effect. But I would like to look. We want to maximise his progression and get him into our team as quickly as humanly possible. So I would like to see him in the higher league.
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
And I think he's capable. Like for me personally, I'm looking at a team like Derby County, for example, that struggled to get any players in. Yes, they're probably about to get relegated, but actually, you look at how many games they've won, how well they've played. They've had a good season. They've just been unlucky that the deduction of points has screwed them over in getting relegated. I could have seen Elliot Anderson playing in a Derby team with the likes of Wayne Rooney as manager and really excelling in that team and playing really well. There's no reason why I don't believe there's no reason why he can't play for a team in that position. You know, put him in a Blackburn Rovers team. He could play in a Blackburn Rovers team. He could play in a Stoke team. Someone's just talked about Tyrese Campbell. Tyrese Campbell's probably not at the level that we're looking at for Newcastle United, but I'd put Elliot Anderson in the Stoke team and allow him to play there. There are other teams that he could go to. And I think teams have been watching him, so he'll have the pick of the bunch in the summer.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think this is a nice, easy one, Pete. Do you think Perez is feeling that he made a mistake joining Leicester?
You could argue no, because he's picked up an FA Cup.
It's true.
And a Community Shield. So in his mind, he'll think, well, no, not really, because I picked up a trophy, 2 trophies that I never picked up at Newcastle United. But from his own career point of view, I think there'll be an element of him that will be disappointed with how his career's gone at Leicester. I don't think he'll be disappointed in the fact that he left Newcastle, because at the time in which he left Newcastle, you know, I think most players probably would have left Newcastle at that point if they'd have had the opportunity, because we weren't going anywhere. Mark Ashley, Rafa Benitez had just left, And at that point in his mind, he was like, I need to get out. So I understand it from his point of view, the way in which he felt and thought. But his career's gone backwards since he went to Leicester. And they did not expect to get the player that they got in Jose Perez. And I told Leicester fans at the beginning that he has very, very decent patches of play, but they're very small patches and he's not a consistent player. And I did say that to them, and they've come back to me and said, yeah, you're absolutely right. He's shite. We don't like him. We want him gone. And that's not just a few Leicester fans. That's a lot of Leicester fans that I speak to. They do not rate him. I would not be sorry to see him being sold in the summer. Will he come back to us? No, he'll go back to Spain, which is where he should have gone in the first place anyway, because that's what he talked about for 6 months, about going back to Spain. When he in his last 6 months at Newcastle, that's where he should have gone. That's where he'll go now, and he'll probably excel at Real Betis or somewhere like that.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. David Cook asks, this is when I was talking about right midfield, but I was meaning the right of the centre of midfield. But to answer your question, David, the right centre of midfield, I'd definitely be looking at Lucas Paqueta. Got to be honest, I'm not going to lie. And in terms, if you were asking me for like a right midfield, and I'm kind of going on here really, I'm going above and beyond here, David. But if you were asking me for like a right winger, to answer that question, I would just be looking at Rafinha at Leeds. I just think he'd be superb. Every time I watch Rafinha play, I always think there's something special there. And hey, he's a Brazilian, so straight away he's getting a big tick off me. So yeah, I think Rafinha from Leeds. I think he'd be a great signing. Ryan Sweeney asks, and I'm going to ask Pete when he comes back about this because this is an interesting one. But Ryan Sweeney says ASM didn't pass to Bruno. He chose Burn. Why? He don't like Bruno being top man. Now that's an interesting point, that Ryan, because me and Pete were discussing this actually at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, saying quite the opposite. We were saying, class players tend to lean on class players, and for us, we noticed anyway. Maybe not in the Wolves game. So I'm not saying you're lying, Ryan, but certainly in the Tottenham game, yeah, Pete.
Ryan,
we were saying,
come on, Ryan.
Yeah, we were saying that we felt that like ASM and Bruno have really struck up this relationship, and you can tell that when Bruno's got the ball, he's looking up, going, "Where's ASM?" Because he knows if he gives the ball to ASM, things happen. So yeah, it's an interesting point, and like I say, I'm not saying that didn't happen. I don't recall it. I've got to be honest, but I would say that ASM and Bruno are like that on and off the pitch. I would say
they love each other. They love each other. And yeah, not just on social media, but you can tell. We had the conversation, didn't we, at the Tottenham game, when I said,
yeah, we did.
I think it might have even been the Tottenham away days before that we talked about every time every time Bruno gets the ball, when ASM's on the pitch, the first person looks for is him.
Yeah.
Top players recognise top players. It's as simple as that. And he recognises ASM as a top player and vice versa. So they look for each other. Doesn't mean they always have to pass to each other. It might mean that he went for Dan Burn, as what you mentioned before, because he felt he was a better option. It's one of those things. But yeah, there's nothing malice in that. There's nothing negative in that at all.
Well, Pete, you'll be pleased to know we've got 5 left, so I'm going to try and whiz through them very quickly. So we have one from Lee Ellington, and Lee says, lads, could Miggy be a make weight in the Núñez deal? Would you let ASM go if an offer came in to make way for Jared Bowen or Calvin Phillips or another, and definitely Paqueta side? So Lee, I'll quickly touch on that. I think Miggy could be part of a deal in the summer. I really truly believe that, because I think he's someone who has value. Whether or not Eddie will decide to keep hold of him, I don't know. But if someone makes an offer they can't refuse, or it brings down the overall fee for the player that we really want, I think we could use Miggy as a make weight. I wouldn't let ASM go. We're going to touch on him very shortly, because I think he's one of the last comments. So I wouldn't let ASM go. Jared Bowen, I like Jared Bowen, but I personally, I would maybe be looking elsewhere than him. Calvin Phillips, he's another one, picked up quite a few injuries. He kind of burst on the scene, but he's got a bit quiet, especially, as I say, down to injuries and things like that. So whether or not he's someone we'll be looking at, and now we've got Bruno, do we need Calvin Phillips? It's a valid argument, I would say. But Lucas Paqueta, yeah, definitely I will be looking at him. But Pete, answering that question, but also a little extra question, I'm assuming, like me, you would have had particular interest in the Benfica-Liverpool game. I certainly did. And I've got to say, Nunes, he certainly likes to put himself about, doesn't he? Quite a lot on the floor, but that, you know, that can be trained out of him. But what did you make of Nunes, and are you still wanting him as much as you were previously?
Even more so. Because what it showed for me against Liverpool is that he can mix it with the big boys, and still perform and still score. Liverpool don't concede a lot of goals. So the fact
He didn't look phased, did he? Didn't look phased.
Nah. And that's a player with confidence. Now, I said when we talked about the transfer show, fully loaded transfer show unloaded. I did say, you know, he very much reminds me of a young Edison Cavani, who is like that. He's a big, strong player, likes to put himself about. Yes, he might be on the floor quite a lot, but that's part of the South American charm, to win free kicks and win certain situations in their favour. Bruno Guimaraes did it a lot on Friday night, so that is ingrained in their mentality, in the way in which they play football. But Darwin Nunes is a top talented player. I am worried. I said it in our loaded chat, I think the other day. I am worried about Darwin Nunes, because the more he scores goals, he scored another hat-trick at the weekend, the more he scores goals, the bigger teams start to watch. And there's already conversations out there and rumours out there that the likes of PSG, Chelsea, Man United, they all need strikers. They all need strikers, are now looking seriously at Darwin Nunes. And I'm worried about whether the window of January was the window, like we've talked about, is either now or never in getting a player of his caliber, because he's not like, you know, one or two other players that have just kind of fizzled out, had a good half of the season, fizzled out. He's continued to score goals. And it worries me that, you know, look, let's face it, we're seriously interested in it. We want the player. We've been observing him all season, even before he became a big talking point. We've had scouts over in Portugal watching him, you know, and for game after game after game. So we are in for him. There's no doubt about it, and we'll put the money down to sign him. But when other big teams come calling, PSG are going to be revamping their team. The likes of Icardi and one or two others, Di Maria, will probably be leaving the club. They're going to want to start again. Man United need a striker, because they're playing without one at the moment at times when Ronaldo's not fit. What's that?
City need a striker.
City
don't get Haaland.
Chelsea need a striker. They don't trust Werner as much as they have done previously. They don't trust Lukaku, so they'll be looking at another striker. It's going to be really, really interesting, and I'm worried that we're going to lose out on him. But Darwin Nunes is the real deal, a top level striker, 22 years old. Jared Bowen is having an outstanding season, but for me, he stays at West Ham. They're playing European football next year. It's not even a conversation, you know, him moving anywhere. He'll stay at West Ham. West Ham would be stupid and mad to let him go, and they'd want crazy money for him. They'll be demanding 60 million for him in the summer. Whether he's worth it or not is
can't pay 60 million for him.
Yeah,
I don't.
That's what they'll be demanding. Yeah. Calvin Phillips, on the other hand, will be more realistic, because I think there's a lot of rumours coming out that Calvin Phillips is interested in potentially leaving the club. I think Calvin Phillips will leave, but it would not surprise me if Calvin Phillips goes to somewhere like Man United. Rather than us. I think we'll look in a different market. We will not look in the English market unless there is a player that we really, really want, that we know we can get. That's just my opinion. Dan Burn was the example. I think what you're going to see from Newcastle, certainly in the early parts of this project, is we are going to go out into Europe and get some of the top young talent to come to Newcastle United and play for us. The likes of Lucas Paqueta, potentially. The likes of Sven Botman that would be linked in. Darwin Nunes. one or two others. I think we're going to go out there and get those types of players rather than buy in England. And I think we will then start to buy in England when we're finishing in the top half of the table, when we're challenging for Europe, because that way, those top English talents are going to see us as a viable option. At that point, they're going to see the project in a different light. For me, I think we're going to get the European talent to come in to take us to that level, and then the English talent come in. So, Bowen, Lewin, sorry, not Calvert-Lewin. Jesus Christ, definitely not him. He's dreadful. Calvin Phillips, I don't think will be in our remit in the summer, although we'll be interested.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've kind of got a three-pronged question here, so I'm going to quickly whiz through them and then I'll get your thoughts, Pete. But Lee Ellington asks, here's a question for you. If we brought in a French national player, do you think that would help ASM? Say we look at Benzema as a statement signing in the summer. We'll come to that in a minute. Somebody also mentioned, Simon Davis, Diaby is a French player I'm desperate for us to sign, and Diaby's at Leverkusen, I believe.
Yeah,
Am I right in saying that? It'd be a tough one to get, I would have thought. Yeah. Moussa Diaby. And then interestingly, the Mad Mag Mark mentions one here, and he's not been linked, but I think he's a Bayern. Tolisso would be a great player that could help ASM. So again, it's got the French theme. He plays in the same position as Joe Linton, so it may help him to link up better with fellow Frenchmen on that left side. So yeah, we're mentioning here Diaby, we're mentioning Tolisso, and we're mentioning Benzema. Now, personally, I don't think Benzema's going anywhere soon. I think he'll see his career out at Real Madrid, and I think we'd be incredibly lucky to get him. So I think he's probably slightly off out of bounds, if I'm being honestly. In terms of Diaby, I mean, he's at Leverkusen, a young French winger. I believe he plays on the left. Exciting, he would be a fantastic sign. It'd be great if we looked at him. And Tolisso, he's a central midfielder for Bayern, as I think I mentioned. But again, I don't know whether Bayern would let him go. But Pete, what are your thoughts on those players?
Tolisso's a good player, very good player. He won't be playing for Bayern otherwise. But and I think there's a potential window for him to leave in the summer. Not playing as regular as he should be over his period of time at the club, but is a very technically good player. The only thing I would say is that I actually think he plays very similar. I think he plays in a more deep lying role. I could be wrong. He plays in a more Shelvey role than anything else. So, if we were to get a player like him in, it would mean that I think that Shelvey would probably get moved on. If I'm being honest. But not wrong in the him linking up with ASM. I think bringing more French speaking players over, and this goes back to the point about why Bruno and ASM get on, is that they both speak French, so they've got an understanding. Bruno picked up French very, very quickly when at Lyon, and he's already picked up English very, very quickly since he's been at Newcastle. But I think bringing more French-speaking players over would definitely help ASM to settle a little bit more. The other two, just remind me who the other two were again.
So we had Tolisso, Moussa Diaby, and Benzema.
Moussa Diaby, there's a lot of teams looking at Moussa Diaby. We would have to act fast to get him. He's a supremely talented player. He would be a great signing for Newcastle, and he's playing very, very well. And who's the last one? Sorry,
Benzema.
Benzema. If Benzema's not in the top 5, top 4 for Ballon d'Or in December at the end of this calendar year, I'll be shocked, because Benzema is proving what many people didn't think he was capable of, but lots of people have known that he's capable of, is being an elite striker. He's been an elite striker for 12 years, and it was only because Bale and Ronaldo were kind of blitzing him in terms of goals and assists that he looked like a third-rate, second-rate, fourth-rate, fifth-rate player in that unbelievable Real Madrid side. But he played a huge part in that, and he's come to the forefront since Bale's dropped out of the team and Ronaldo's left. He is a top-level striker.
So good.
At 32, 33 years old, he's still proving he's the best around. And I'd say, he's neck and neck with Lewandowski. And that's just my opinion. And the fact that he's doing it in a probably lesser Real Madrid team would probably pip him as being better, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, Benzema is definitely not leaving Real Madrid. He'll stay there, and he'll stay there and retire, or stay there and go back to France for a year.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Well, that brings us on to our last comments. We've done really well to get through all of these. And Ryan, please don't think we're digging you out, mate, because we're not. So Ryan Sweeney put a controversial comment on here, but I wanted to talk about it with Pete, Ryan, because I don't think you're alone in saying this, but Ryan says, how can you love him when he gives up so easily? And that's ASM. Now, I will just tell you briefly why I love ASM. So for me, Ryan, he's one of those players, mercurial. He's a player who can light up a game with like one flick of a switch. I completely agree. I think you wrote earlier on in the show, saying how frustrating he is, how annoyed we can get at him, how sometimes you feel like he's wasting the talent that he's got. But for me, if you've got an Saint-Maximin on song, there's not a Premier League defender, or even probably a defender in Europe, that can deal with him when he's running one-on-one with a player. And for me, you've got to keep players like that in and around your squad. I think we're very lucky to have him. If he does move on, I'll be disappointed, I'm not going to lie. Does he frustrate the hell out of me? Yeah, he does. I see signs of David Ginola, Laurent Robert, Hassan Ben Arfa, but when they're on song, wow, what a player. And I hope we keep hold of him, and I hope that we persist with him. We've got to remember he's only just turned 25 in March, I think. We've just got to stick by him. That's in my opinion. But Pete, what do you want to say? What are your last thoughts on that?
I don't think ASM gives up easily at all. I think he's a player that actually tries his absolute hardest for the team. Now, there'll be elements in the game where he goes on a run and he loses the ball and he kind of like gets frustrated. And you don't see him like running, breaking a neck to get back. It's because Eddie Howe has put a tactical system in place in which he doesn't need to track back as much as any other player. And we did the same with Laurent Robert. We did the same with David Ginola. We did the same with Hassan Ben Arfa. We put a tactical system in place in which they didn't need to defend as much, as much as the other players. And you know what? If you go back to Brighton during lockdown where we lost 3-0, and Saint-Maximin not only got destroyed as a defensive left winger, but gave away a penalty off the back of that. For me, that was the day in which I said, I don't want Saint-Maximin defending again, because he's not a defender. And when you're not naturally a defender, you give away pointless free kicks and pointless penalties. That's not where I want him to be. I don't want Saint-Maximin picking up the ball on the 18-yard box and then running 60 yards and knackering himself out. I would much rather Saint-Maximin pick up the ball where he picked up the ball on countless opportunities in the game against Wolves, on the halfway line, and running at players from the halfway line, because he's more likely to get himself to the box. He's more likely to get himself and the rest of the team up the pitch to cause problems. That's where you get into, right, okay, do you play smart and run it into the corner and holding up the ball, or do you go to goal? That's something that Eddie Howe needs to work with him on. But that's not down to lack of effort or giving up easily. That's just down to quality of kind of like decision making. But that's not down to effort. He works hard off the ball and on the ball as well. But it's higher up the pitch. It's the bits that we don't see in defensive areas, which is where I don't want him. For me, it's as simple as that. I want him higher up the pitch where he can affect the game, because that's what we've paid for him to do. And you know what? Over the last 3 years, he's done that. He has affected games, maybe not as much as we wanted him to, but he has affected the game and a number of games and scored important goals. The last thing I'll say about Saint-Maximin is we need to, and it sounds like a sort of broken record me saying this, is that we need to give him time. He's 25 years old. We're talking about him as if he's 28, 29 attacking midfielder that's still not playing at the same level. He's not a Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba's 29, nearly 30, and people are still questioning whether he's capable or not. This is not Saint-Maximin, and he's playing in a team that needs to be better in terms of personnel. So be patient, get behind him, Don't get on his back straight away. Show that support, because it's easy to get on his back if he loses the ball once or twice. It's easy to start groaning, "Oh, for fuck's sake, this, that, and the other." Get behind him, show him support, because that will keep his confidence levels high. That will keep him wanting to get the ball at his feet and to take on players and to commit players and to create moments for Newcastle United. Because when Saint-Maximin is creating those moments for Newcastle, he will produce the moments. We need to make sure we get behind him. He's still our best attacking player in this team, bar none. So for me, that's Saint-Maximin. And as I've said earlier on in the show, and I'll say it again, it would not surprise me if he comes in and has a big moment against Leicester and has a fantastic game. That's just Saint-Maximin for you.
Yeah, I think you summed that up well, Pete. And that is all the comments. All done and dusted.
All within an hour and a half, right?
Yeah. Nearly double. Nearly double.
We do this every week. This is ridiculous. But you know what? That's just down to the fantastic comments from the people in the chat. Thank you for everyone that stuck with us throughout the whole show tonight. Massive respect. Loads of you guys, we speak to you all the time, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Loaded, whether it's on Matters. We appreciate all your comments, all your questions. You guys are fantastic, and you guys, ultimately make this show. We're just here to facilitate it. That's the way that me and Chris see it, and we love talking Newcastle with you. So keep up the great work, keep up the questions. Keep in touch with everything NUFC Matters over the course of this week. Also keep in touch with everything Loaded HQ. There was lots of good, fantastic content from both channels that are coming to you this week. So keep in touch with everything from that point of view. Thank you all for the comments in the chat, saying great show. You guys have made that show just as much as we have. But at this point, we will let you go. You take care. Pray for 3 points on Sunday, and we'll be back Monday to do this all again and hopefully talk about 37 points and pretty much guaranteed safety. So until then, Chris, legend as always. Chatters, legends as always. Take care. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll speak to you soon. See you later.
Bye.